was a strange soul in her body. This discovery shocked and frightened Hyunju. She cursed at her, beat her, and tried to drive her out, but it was of no use. There are now two souls living directly in her body, and Hyunju can feel that the other party is becoming more and more powerful. Maybe she will soon no longer be able to control this body. She was already scared enough, and now Lin Wanshu wanted her to see a psychiatrist. How could she not go crazy? Seeing a psychiatrist, isn't that the same as saying she is mentally ill? After being scolded, Lin Wanshu did not get angry. She just responded calmly. If you don't see a psychiatrist, do you have a better solution? Hyunju naturally had no solution. If there was a solution, would she be so anxious? I'm going to find a Taoist priest. He'll do some magic for me and drive her away. She wants to take my body away, and I can't let her do that. As Hyunju spoke, she stumbled off the hospital bed. Director He, be careful with your words. Lin Wanshu interrupted her sternly. Although I was reborn, I still have a sense of awe towards certain things that cannot be explained. However, in the context of this era, it was impossible for Lin Wanshu to say that she was possessed by another soul. Isn't this seeking death? Hyunju's mind suddenly became clear after being yelled at by Lin Wanshu. But soon, she fell into a panic frenzy again. I'm about to disappear. What else should I be afraid of? Find me a Taoist priest, come and perform a ritual for me. As she spoke, she rushed forward and tried to pull Lin Wanshu's clothes. But he was quickly caught by two nurses. Sister-in-law, please calm down. Feudal superstition is not acceptable. Zhang Qingfeng advised patiently while winking at the nurse. The two nurses did not hesitate. They grabbed Hyunju's arms, one on each side, and carried her back to the ward. But Hyunju was unwilling to go back. While struggling, she shouted, I want to see Chiao Yong. Hurry and find Chiao Yong for me. Director He, we've already asked someone to go and call them, but the team leader is busy, so it will probably take a while before they arrive. Yang Zheng explained on the side. Hearing this, Hyunju was angry and hateful. What on earth is he busy about? What could be more important than me? I'm almost dying, and he doesn't even come to see me? How could he be so heartless? Lin Wanshu didn't say anything, but looked at Hyunju with some curiosity. But I found that in her crazy expression, she would occasionally reveal a hint of helplessness and fatigue. It looks particularly weird. Is this another personality in her body? Or another soul? Is she, and where did she come from? In the midst of this chaos, Chiao Yong finally arrived. Seeing him, Hyunju suddenly broke free from the hands of the two nurses, rushed forward, and grabbed Chiao Yong's arm. She said frantically, Chiao Yong, help me quickly, there is a dirty thing trying to take my body. However, when Chiao Yong heard this, his face looked very ugly. Hyunju, when will you change your nonsense habit? As a staunch materialist, he doesn't believe in any talk of dirty things. In his opinion, Hyunju was just acting crazy and stupid because she didn't want to go back to Ning City. Seeing that he didn't believe her, Hyunju collapsed. Why don't you believe me? She was inside me. She tried to take my body away and I almost died, you know? Chiao Yong frowned, thinking that her excuse was extremely absurd. In the end, I didn't plan to ask her anymore, so I asked Zhang Qingfeng directly. Dr. Zhang, how is she now? Hyunju's situation fell into the category of psychology, so Zhang Qingfeng didn't dare to make any judgment and suggested that he be sent to the provincial hospital for a checkup. Hearing that it might be split personality and not fake, Chiao Yong frowned even more tightly. How could she suddenly have a split personality? Split personality is affected by many factors, such as genetic factors, biological factors, environmental factors, and psychological factors. You need to consult a professional to find out the specific cause. Lin Wanshu didn't know much about this, but at least she knew more than Zhang Qingfeng, so she explained it for him. Can she be cured? This is the issue that Chiao Yong is most concerned about. Lin Wanshu recalled the cases she had seen, paused, and then said, It depends on the situation. If the symptoms are mild, there is a certain chance that they can be cured through psychological counseling or biomedical treatment. If the symptoms are more serious, then we can only help her better integrate into society. That is to accept the coexistence of two personalities. He Wenju heard that she might have to coexist in the same body with another soul for a long time. She felt like the sky was falling. I don't want her here. Chiao Yong, please help me. I was wrong. From now on, I will listen to whatever you say and never talk nonsense again. Holding Chiao Yong's clothes tightly, she cried miserably with tears and snot. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard a long sigh in her mind. Find out who is occupying whose body. When I was a child, my soul was injured, and you suddenly broke in.
What?
You have occupied this body for more than 20 years, and you really think it is yours? Her soul was damaged, and there was nothing she could do. She just let someone take over her body. She could only stay in a corner and recuperate. Who would have thought that when I was sleeping soundly, this guy suddenly gave up and ran away? If she hadn't quickly controlled her body, she might have been dead by now. Hearing this, He Wenju felt as if struck by lightning. Buried deep in my memory suddenly came to my mind. Feeling uneasy, the other He Wenju took control of the body directly. What Chiao Yong saw was that He Wenju, who had originally looked crazy, suddenly calmed down. He Wenju let go of Chiao Yong's hand with a faint expression. I'm sorry, Captain Chiao. I was rude just now. Chiao Yong. Lin Wanshu. Zhang Qingfeng. So, this is He Wenju's other personality? Although her appearance was still the same, there was a hint of coldness between her features. He looked like a different person. Chiao Yong grabbed her hand and said, I'll take you to the provincial hospital. Her situation was beyond his understanding. Split personality be like this? The same person have two completely different personalities? Hearing this, He Wenju glanced at him indifferently, then nodded indifferently. Whatever. After saying that, she turned around and said to Lin Wanshu apologetically, I'm sorry for what happened before. Although she had been sleeping, she knew exactly what He Wenju had done. Seeing a person switch personality, soul, directly at close range was extremely shocking to Lin Wanshu. So much, so that she couldn't react at all. Just replied subconsciously.
No.
Never mind. He Wenju curled her lips slightly, nodded lightly, and went back to the ward. When are you going to the provincial hospital? Call me so I can catch up on my sleep. After saying this to Chiao Yong, she lay directly on the hospital bed. He Wenju made a lot of noise last night and she didn't get any sleep at all, so she was extremely sleepy now. Her actions once again stunned everyone. Chiao Yong, in particular, began to doubt his life as he looked at the woman who ignored him. Comrade Xiaolin, do you think her personality is likely to persist for a long time? Chiao Yong asked in a somewhat dry voice. Lin Wanshu nodded. Director He's condition doesn't look like a mild case, so this is likely the result. Because the personality she displays is completely different from that of herself, she can even quarrel with herself. Lin Wanshu was even more willing to believe what He Wenju said herself, that there were two souls in her body. Hearing this, Chiao Yong's gaze fell straight on the person who was resting with his eyes closed on the hospital bed, and his brows were twisted into a knot. Captain Chiao, I suggest you take your sister-in-law to the provincial hospital for a checkup as soon as possible. Zhang Qingfeng had never seen anyone's temperament suddenly change, so he said to Chiao Yong with some concern. Chiao Yong pursed his lips, paused, and then nodded and said, Thank you, Dr. Zhang. I will take her there as soon as possible. There was nothing to do here, so Lin Wanshu didn't stay long and left. But He Wenju lying on the hospital bed couldn't get a good night's sleep at all. He Wenju, in my mind, is still clamoring and cursing. Give it back to me. Give your body back to me. It's you who couldn't keep it, who do you blame? Hearing this, He Wenju sneered coldly.
So,
you can't hold on now, right? If that's the case, who are you blaming? She was in control of the body, she didn't bother with her, she just stayed asleep and let her do whatever she wanted. Now I just want to get my body back, but she is so upset. Hearing her sarcasm, He Wenju was angry and furious, but there was nothing she could do about it. As the person controlling the body changed, the other party's soul seemed to be slowly growing stronger. She wanted to take it back, but it would be a pipe dream unless she was seriously injured or seriously ill. He Wenju was unwilling to accept this. What was the difference between this and asking for her life? But her shouting and cursing were doomed to be in vain. Because apart from He Wenju, no one else could hear her voice. He Wenju soon fell asleep. On the way back, Yang Zheng still couldn't come back to her senses. Wan Shu, do you think director he'll be like this in the future? Is it true that she is possessed by something dirty? Lin Wan Shu calmed down. After all, she had her own precedent, so she was not unacceptable to He Wenju's situation. That is probably the case. It seems that this personality is very strong, and the original He Wenju may not be able to gain the upper hand. Hearing this, Yang Zheng was a little frightened. It seems I have to be more careful in the future and try not to get sick if possible. If she gets possessed by the dirty things, she won't have anywhere to cry. But then again, thing that came from nowhere is quite gentle and elegant. She seems to be more reasonable than the original He Wenju. Seeing her frightened look, Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How can it be so easy to have a split personality? You may not find one in 10,000 people. Maybe she developed a second personality because of some traumatic experience in her childhood. She tried her best to comfort her from a scientific point of view. Sure enough, once something is related to science, it becomes more reassuring. Who was extremely frightened at first, calmed down a little after hearing Lin Wanshu's explanation. However, the news that He Wenju had a brain problem due to a high fever soon spread throughout the family compound. Everyone couldn't help but marvel at how she had suddenly become a different person. If the team leader had not already taken people to the provincial capital for inspection, they would have wanted to chase after him to the health center and take a sneak peek. After all, they had never seen someone's temperament suddenly change 180 degrees in broad daylight. How can one not be curious? It was already noon when Lin Wanshu returned home. Xiao Miao Miao, who had been out playing for the morning, also came back. As usual, there were several children following her. Seeing her, the children greeted her politely. You guys play here for a while, and I'll make you something delicious later. I was not in the family compound. These children were the ones who played with Miao Miao. Now that she's back, shouldn't she express her gratitude? When they heard that she was going to make delicious food, the children's eyes lit up. Is there anyone in the family compound who doesn't know how good Lin Wanshu's cooking skills are? The snacks she made were even better than those bought outside. Thank you, pretty aunt. Those who were sweet talkers quickly said thank you. Others also followed suit and said thank you. Even Xiao Miao Miao said something to her seriously. Thank you. Thank you. Lin Wanshu was so amused that she laughed till she could not help herself. After saying a few words, she turned around and went back to the kitchen. After a while, Qin Yan also came in. I saw that he had a smile in his eyes. The corners of his lips were slightly raised, and he looked like he was in a good mood. Ian, did you find a treasure? Why are you so happy? Lin Wanshu couldn't help but make a joke. Hearing this, Qin Yan did not deny it. His gaze paused on her for a while before he said, It is true that you have found a treasure. Lin Wanshu glared at him. I'm talking to you seriously. Qin Yan smiled softly, paused, then leaned over to whisper in her ear. After hearing what he said, Lin Wanshu's eyes suddenly lit up surprisingly. Really? You really did it? Isn't this incredible? That's a weapon and he made it? Qin Yan nodded. But we still need to find a place to experiment. But having a sniper gun alone is not enough. The ammunition also needs to be improved. Lin Wanshu bought. The equivalent of a Shek is not at the same level as what we have now. You can experiment in the space. I've practiced shooting in it before. Afraid that there might be ears on the other side of the wall, Lin Wanshu stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear. The warm air carrying the faint fragrance entered his ears, and Qin Yan's breathing tightened. After a pause, he said, Okay, then I'll go and give it a try. We could conduct experiments in space. After all, this would make a lot of noise. His wife had to go to City in the afternoon, so Qin Yan did not delay. He kissed her forehead and turned back to his room. Lin Wanshu looked at his impatient back, feeling a little amused and helpless. Knowing that he could enter the space on his own, Lin Wanshu didn't care. I took out corn kernels and sugar and prepared to make popcorn for the children. Making popcorn is the easiest thing. First, fry the corn kernels in oil until they pop, then scoop them out. Next, add sugar, water, and oil and fry until they become syrup. Then put the popcorn into the pan and turn it over so that it is evenly coated with the syrup. Of popcorn quickly attracted all the children outside. When they saw the golden popcorn in the pot, "Annie, do you fry this popcorn in a pan?" Shunyu asked with a look of doubt on his face. He clearly remembered that the uncles who made popcorn would put the rice into the popcorn machine to make it. Once it's cooked, there will be a loud popping sound every time you turn on the popcorn machine. He often asked the old man to cook this during the Chinese New Year. As a result, Lin Wanshu actually fried it in a wok. Not only is it big, it also smells delicious, much more fragrant than the ones he asked his uncle to fry during the Chinese New Year. Lin Wanshu brought a large bowl and put the fried popcorn into the bowl, then said, "It was fried in a pan, and I used corn kernels. And it is specially selected small-grain sweet corn." In later generations, there were also varieties specially developed for popcorn frying, but they were not these. When the children heard that corn kernels could be made into popcorn, it was like a new world had opened up to them. Corn is also a coarse grain, but not as refined as rice. On weekdays, adults were reluctant to use rice to make popcorn for them and would only give them some during the Chinese New Year. Now that there are corn kernels instead, how can they not be surprised? Lin Wanshu brought the popcorn to the pavilion outside and let them eat it themselves. The popcorn was put on the table. Feng Jianxi couldn't wait to reach out and grab a handful, but he grimaced in pain from the burn. Shen Xiai glanced at him. He was so scared that he quickly put the popcorn back into the bowl. You can only take one at a time, not grab them by the handful. When the other children heard Shen Xiai say this, those who originally wanted to reach out and grab a handful withdrew their hands in embarrassment. It's no wonder they are so cowardly. After all, Shen Xiai is really ruthless when he fights. They couldn't beat him, so they had to listen to him. Seeing that they all took them one by one, Shen Xiai was satisfied. He picked up one and blew on it before handing it to Xiao Miao Miao, who was so anxious that he was about to climb over the table. Lin Wanshu ignored it and went back to the kitchen to make lunch. "I had just put the rice in the pot and was about to wash it when you Fong Fong came. Wan, you cooked delicious food but didn't even call me." Yu Sansui was holding a handful of popcorn in his hand, eating it while complaining. Lin Wanshu felt somewhat helpless and somewhat amused. "You have such a keen nose. Have you ever needed me to yell at you?" "Humph. That's just an excuse. If I wasn't at home, wouldn't I have missed this good thing?" It was really delicious, fragrant, crispy, and sweet. Yu Fong Fong ate one bite at a time, crunching non-stop. "How can that be possible? Look at what this is." Lin Wanshu spoke. She took out a small basin from the cupboard. The basin was filled with golden popcorn. Yu Fong Fong smiled instantly. Without hesitation, she took the popcorn and continued to show off. Lin Wanshu smiled and shook her head, then continued to cook her own meal. After eating a dozen popcorns, Yu Fong Fong suddenly thought of something and reached into the bag. Then she took out a letter and handed it to Lin Wanshu. "There is a letter for you, sent from Jing City." Lin Wanshu returned to Yun Province. She sent a letter to Sun Haidao and also sent some food she made. Calculating the time, if he had replied, it should have been now. Sun Haidao were written in a flamboyant handwriting on the envelope. Lin Wanshu opened the envelope and found only a thin piece of letter paper inside. The wording and sentence selections seemed flowery. Fortunately, she read a lot of ancient medical books on a daily basis, so she had no problem with this kind of letter. Lin Wanshu read the letter carefully while Yu Fong Fong held her small bowl and ate while walking out in a swagger. The children outside had finished their popcorn, but when they saw that Yu Fong Fong still had a bowl of it, their eyes widened. "Mom, give me two." Feng Jianxi walked up to Yu Fong Fong with a fawning look on his face.
"No."
Yu Fong Fong turned her head and put another one into her mouth. Xiao Miao Miao also came. She grabbed Yu Fong Fong's trouser legs with her little hands and tilted her head high. Before she opened her mouth, Yu Fong Fong's heart melted. "Come, Xiao Miao Miao, there are some delicious foods here. Auntie will give them to you." As she spoke, she grabbed a handful and handed it to Xiao Miao Miao. Feng Jianxi made the accusation with a look of grief and indignation on his face.
Mom.
Am I still your biological child? Yu Fangfang. Seeing that her son seemed really sad, she looked a little embarrassed. After gritting her teeth, she finally handed over the popcorn with great pain. Take it, take it. I really owe you. She hasn't eaten enough yet. Took the popcorn, immediately smiled happily. How could he look sad at all? There's popcorn again, come and eat it. As he spoke, he ran towards the pavilion with popcorn in his hands. When the other children saw that there was popcorn again, they happily followed. Yu Fangfang. She was careless. How dare this jerk play tricks on her? The yard was bustling with activity, but in the kitchen, Lin Wanshu, who had just finished reading the letter, was confused. What is this puzzle of Uncle Master? How come it's like I said nothing after saying so much? Lin Wanshu read it over and over again, but still couldn't figure out the mystery. She didn't believe that he wrote to her just to say something vague. But what did he want to tell himself? Lin Wanshu really couldn't figure out what was said above, so she had to put the letter away and study it slowly. Since he chose to write to me instead of calling me, it means that these words cannot be said over the phone. The letter had been put into the space. After Lin Wanshu washed the rice, she poured 2 scoops of water into it and put the pot on the stove. The firewood pile was stacked full, and one could tell at a glance that Qin Yan had picked it up in the morning. Lin Wanshu grabbed a handful of dry leaves and put them into the stove hole. She took out a match and struck it lightly. With a sizzle sound, the flames shot up. The dry leaves were lit, and the flames made a crackling sound. While making a fire, she was still thinking about the letter, and she felt a little absent-minded. I didn't even know when Yu Fangfang came in. Wan, your pot is smoking. Yu Fangfang said this as she ran in quickly and scooped a bucket of water into the pot. There was a sizzling sound and a puff of white smoke came out of the pot. Wanshu, what are you thinking about? Yu Fangfang asked with some surprise. Lin Wanshu's mind suddenly flashed with the letter. From the first word in the first line to the second word in the second line, reading diagonally downwards, it seems like a sentence when connected together. When she thought of this, Lin Wanshu wished she could take out the letter and read it immediately. But because Yu Fangfang was here, she had no choice but to endure it. I was thinking about a case and my mind wandered. Lin Wanshu found an excuse and evaded the question. But Yu Fangfang misunderstood. Are you thinking about Huanzhu? I heard that she suddenly suffered from mental breakdown. Lin Wanshu went to see her. Yu Fangfang was very curious. I moved closer to her and asked in a low voice. I heard that she was possessed by an evil spirit. Is that true? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu felt helpless. Nodding her head, she said seriously, Don't talk nonsense. Be careful if someone with ulterior motives hears her. She has a split personality. Recently, if futile and superstitious words get out, you might get into trouble. After that, Lin Wanshu explained to her what split personality is. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang subconsciously covered her mouth. It was just a pair of big eyes blinking. Even if he didn't say anything, his eyes still showed. Is there any difference between split personality and being possessed by something dirty? Lin Wanshu. It turns out that she didn't hear anything of the scientific explanation she just gave. In the end, Lin Wanshu had no choice but to turn the topic to food. Chun Xiang brought me a lot of mushrooms this morning. I'm going to make some mushroom sauce later. Do you want some? Hearing that she was going to make delicious food, Yu Fangfang couldn't care about anything else. Her eyes sparkled and she nodded vigorously. Yes, yes. Whatever materials you want, I'll get them, and you can make some for me. Lin Wanshu had made before. Their family had been relying on this meat sauce to survive during this period. Especially Feng Jianxi, he would have a little with rice, a little with noodles, or even if he didn't eat anything. After all this construction, there is nothing left. Just bring back some chili peppers and garlic, nothing else. No, I can't take your can of mushroom sauce for such a small amount of food. Wait, I'll go home and get some meat. After saying that, Yu Fangfang hurried home. As he ran, he shouted towards his yard. Old Feng, don't cook the meat yet. I have a great use for it. Lin Wanshu. She smiled and shook her head, and only after confirming that Yu Fangfang had gone out did she take out the letter. Unfolding the letter, Lin Wanshu read diagonally from the first word downwards according to the image in her mind just now. Walk 56 steps due east from the west end of the mountain? Does this mean that she should go to Shido Mountain? What's there? Lin Wanshu planned to go over with Qin Yan after dinner. But Qin Yan was still doing experiments in the space. He was in the space, so Lin Wanshu could naturally know his actions clearly. But out of respect, she never spied on him. We can only judge whether he is entering or leaving by the fluctuations in space. After an unknown amount of time, when Lin Wanshu finished cooking, Yu Fangfang also came over. In her hands, she was not only holding a basket of chili peppers and garlic, but also a piece of fat and lean pork belly. Here, it is all here. You should do more, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on until you come back next time. After saying that, she happily went to help wash peppers and peel garlic. But where had she done these things at home? After a while, her hands were burning with pain. Spicy, with chili peppers. Hiss! This thing is too strong. It's burning my hand before I even eat it. Yu Fangfang complained. I'm also feeling the spiciness. Where did you get the chili peppers? They're so spicy? Hearing this, Yu Fangfang smiled a little embarrassedly. This sister-in-law wants a little, that sister-in-law wants a little, and that's all we have. Lin Wanshu. I didn't realize you were such a plagiarist. She couldn't help but joke. Yu Fangfang looked at her innocently. Otherwise, the vegetables I planted would be half dead. If she were to grow vegetables for food, she would be afraid of starving to death. Even Qin Yan, a grown man, grows crops better than her. Lin Wanshu. She say? Finishing the meal and making the mushroom sauce, it was already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The last bus is at 5:30 p.m. Lin Wanshu looked at the time, and it was still in time. But Qin Yan hasn't come out yet. She could only probe her consciousness into the space to see how his experiment was going. As soon as I entered the space, I heard a bang, and the sheks fell precisely into the newly dug trenches on the training ground. A huge hole was blown out in the entire trench on the spot. Lin Wanshu's heart skipped a beat when she saw the man carrying the sniper gun. He's so awesome? Was this how he created this sniper gun? Although the sheks used were from her space, it was already amazing that she could make a cannon barrel. It is only a matter of time before ammunition is improved. Qin Yan felt her gaze, and after carefully putting away the cannon barrel, he left the space. Lin Wanshu was in a room at the moment. When she saw him coming out, she couldn't help but rush over excitedly. Ian, you really succeeded. You are so amazing. Such a powerful man is her husband. Lin Wanshu was extremely proud. Qin Yan was also very excited. He caught her, hugged her, and kissed her hard. Wanwan, I'm so happy. As long as the ammunition is successfully developed, they will have a great combat advantage with this sniper cannon. What matters on the battlefield is firepower suppression, as long as the enemy dares not show up. The most important thing is that the materials used to make this barrel are very cheap, and mass production is not a problem. It was a rare occasion to see him express his emotions so openly, and Lin Wanshu couldn't help but feel happy for him. Looking at him, his eyes were full of stars. He likes? Unable to hold back, Qin Yan kissed her again. Obviously he loves it. But this was a kitchen after all, and for fear of someone suddenly coming in, the two quickly separated. Lin Wanshu told him about the letter Sun Haidao wrote to her. Hearing this, Qin Yan was a little surprised. After taking the letter from Lin Wanshu, he read it carefully for a while before saying, I'll go take a look. But he was stopped by Lin Wanshu. No hurry, eat first and then we'll go together. He had been in the space just now and hadn't even eaten yet. Since his wife had spoken, Qin Yan had no choice but to eat first. And he always eats very quickly, finishing in less than 10 minutes. Let's go. Lin Wanshu. Because she didn't know what was there, Lin Wanshu didn't bring Miao Miao with her and let her play with the other kids. I don't know if Xiao Miao Miao was too engrossed in playing with the other kids, and she didn't make a fuss about going out with them. In addition to Lin Wanshu's crossbody bag, the couple also brought a hoe, a machete, and a dustpan. He looked like he was going up the mountain to pick up something. Shido Mountain is located to the west of Dongtu Mountain, farther away from the troops. However, it is very close to the place where Lin Wanshu picked bamboo fungus before. Xiao Miaomia was not at home, and the couple walked quickly, so they arrived at Shido Mountain in no time. Lin Wanshu had never been to this mountain, but she had heard of a strange stone on this mountain. Just now Qin Yan found a few more words in the letter. Lin Wanshu also understood what Sun Haidao meant. It turned out that he had put something on the mountain and asked her to get it. Lin Wanshu was afraid that the last heavy rain had washed away his things, so she didn't hesitate and planned to go up and take a look first. Qin Yan was very familiar with this place and quickly brought her to the Jiyang Stone. The extremely young stone is large and columnar, but it is completely covered by the fallen leaves. Lin Wanshu couldn't see the whole picture. She just felt that the stone looked a little strange. Is this the extreme young stone? Qin Yan's face looked a little embarrassed, as if he didn't want her to look at him any longer. He nodded, said, and pulled her away. Lin Wanshu thought his reaction was a little strange. But she didn't think much about it, and just looked around. I don't know if it's because of the mudslide, but everywhere I look, there is only sparse grass. After Qin Yan found the right direction, he counted in his mind while holding Lin Wanshu's hand and walked 56 steps east. When they reached the location mentioned in the letter, they stopped. Lin Wanshu looked around curiously and found that the grass here was also sparse. It looks like it was washed away by a mudslide. Lin Wanshu wondered if the things he placed here were washed away by the mudslide. Qin Yan frowned slightly, his expression somewhat solemn. Let me dig and see. The place where he stood was exactly the 56th step. Qin Yan finished speaking. He swung his hoe and started digging. He was strong and quick and soon dug a hole. But as expected, he dug down 20 or 30 centimeters, but found nothing. Lin Wanshu was not idle either. After taking a look at the surrounding environment, she also started digging nearby. She didn't know what he had hidden here. She felt like digging like this was like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, since Sun Haidao told her in this way, Lin Wanshu naturally did not dare to neglect it. The two of them began to dig slowly outwards along their own position. I don't know how long it had been, but suddenly, Qin Yan felt something strange under the hoe. With a thought in mind, he moved the hoe away, and a jar appeared in front of him. Found it. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu quickly put down her hoe and ran over to take out the jar. The jar is not big, not much bigger than the palm of your hand. Open it and have a look. Qin Yan said this and reached out to take the jar. Not knowing what was inside, he didn't want to let Lin Wanshu take any risks. The jar was sealed tightly and no water got in at all. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu did not try to be stubborn and handed the jar over. Qin Yan untied the rubber ring and bag sealing the outside of the jar, and then opened the lid. When I looked inside, I found a yellowish mass. The opening of the jar was not big, so he could only stretch out 2 fingers, pinch the things inside, and pull them out. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but hold her breath. Soon, Qin Yan was seen taking out a yellow thing from inside. What's this? Lin Wan reached out and touched it and felt something strange. Qin Yan also stroked the thing in his hand and said, "It looks like the skin of some animal." After saying that, he carefully opened the skin in his hand. Soon, a map appeared in front of the two. Where is this map from? Lin Wanshu looked at the annotations curiously. To be able to bring it here and bury it so deep, the things on this map must be extraordinary, right? Is it a treasure map? Lin Wanshu joked. However, Qin Yan did not refute and nodded. It's possible. After all, those years were too turbulent, and anything related to feudalism suffered. As a Taoist priest, it is normal for Sun Haidao to hide something. Qin Yan carefully read the annotations before saying, "The map seems to belong to a city in the eastern province. It's too far from Yunnan province, and it takes a long time to get there by train. Let's take it back first." Lin Wanshu naturally had no objection to this. Besides, this thing belongs to Sun Haidao, so she will keep it first and give it to him later. Qin Yan asked Lin Wanshu to put the jar into the space, and then he picked up a hoe to fill in the soil that had just been dug. After they filled the soil back in, they left it alone. After all, they took away all the things. There are people who come to the mountain to dig things on weekdays, so it's not strange to have a pit there. Lin Wanshu put the jar and the map into the space and helped fill the soil. After filling it out, I looked at the time, and it was just past 2 o'clock, so I just picked up some things and took them back so that I wouldn't have to return home with an empty dustpan. On the way back, I passed by the extremely young stone again. I don't know if it's because of the angle, but Lin Wanshu feels that the stone is getting weirder and weirder. Seeing her staring at the stone again, Qin Yan's expression became a little strange again. Finally, he reached out and turned her little face back, then said in a muffled voice, "There's nothing to see, let's go." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was a little puzzled. Just when she was about to ask why, this time, she finally realized something was wrong, and her whole face suddenly turned red.
Why?
Why does this stone look like this? No wonder the military wives were hesitant when talking about this stone. Qin Yan was silent for a while before he said, "It's the magic of nature." Lin Wanshu. This nature is really not serious. In the end, without Qin Yan's reminder, she didn't dare to look at it again. But the heat on his face didn't subside for a long time. No wonder he didn't let her see it just now, and his expression was so strange. Seeing her blushing face, Qin Yan couldn't help but flash through his mind the charming and seductive scene of her last night, and his eyes couldn't help but darken. The man's eyes were so burning. How could Lin Wanshu not feel it? But when she thought of his tireless and terrifying fighting power last night, she could only pretend not to know. Lin Wanshu was in a hurry to climb the mountain just now, so she didn't pay attention to anything else. When she went down the mountain, she discovered that there was a bamboo forest not far away. There were still 3.5 hours left, so she planned to go see if there were any bamboo shoots and bamboo fungi. Hearing that she wanted to go to the bamboo forest to take a look, Qin Yan's eyes moved slightly, and then he nodded. Good. The two walked towards the bamboo forest, one in front and one behind. But the road to the bamboo forest is not as easy to walk on as the previous one. The soil was loose and soft, and there were many rocks and occasionally trees that fell on the road. The trees weren't dead either, but their dense leaves blocked the view. Lin Wanshu walked with some difficulty, and it was mostly Qin Yan who supported her. But as she was supported, she didn't know when her whole body was half held in his arms. The man's iron arms were tightly wrapped around her waist, and her ears could be heard his breathing, which had become somewhat disordered since she hadn't known where he came from. They were clearly going to look for bamboo shoots, but at this moment, Lin Wanshu had an inexplicable illusion that they were going to have a tryst. Such thoughts made her blush and her heart beat uncontrollably. My brain seemed to be lacking oxygen, and I felt a little dizzy. The atmosphere was so ambiguous that it made people feel a little unsettled. But just when Lin Wanshu thought the man would do something, he just carried her to the bamboo forest. Found a stone for her. You sit here and wait for a moment while I dig some bamboo shoots. After settling the people, he walked into the bamboo forest with a hoe. Seeing that he really left like this, Lin Wanshu blinked in disbelief. There is a sense of loss in my heart that I can't even explain. How could he do this? Lin Wanshu glared at the man who had already started digging bamboo shoots. In the end, perhaps out of anger, she refused to sit down and rest, but picked up her own stone and started digging bamboo shoots as well. The heavy rain, a lot of bamboo shoots grew in the bamboo forest. Some time ago, the military wives picked up a lot of them and took them home. A lot of new growth has grown now. Qin Yan was very strong and could dig one out with just one hoe. Lin Wanshu had to dig 10 or so times before she could dig up one. She finally dug 2 roots. She heard Qin Yan say, "It's done, let's go back." Lin Wanshu turned around and saw that both winnowing baskets were filled with a lot of bamboo shoots. Lin Wanwan. On the way back, Qin Yan wanted to hold her hand, but Lin Wanshu refused to let him. Just one person walking in front. I don't know if it's because she's angry, but the road that was originally difficult to walk on was now easily walked by her. But before she could step over a fallen branch, her waist suddenly felt tight. She was thrown into a hot embrace. Lin Wanshu was shocked. "What are you doing?" She glared at him. "Angry?" Qin Yan looked at the angry woman in his arms with a faint smile in his eyes. Snort. Lin Wanshu turned her head away and didn't want to look at him at all. Too much, he actually teased her. Qin Yan didn't know when he had put the dustpan on the ground. He reached out his other hand and hugged her whole body. Lin Wanshu screamed, hugged his neck with both hands, and subconsciously wrapped her legs around his waist. The man chuckled. There was someone nearby just now, as if explaining. But it would have been better if he didn't explain. This explanation made her seem very anxious. Lin Wanshu became even more depressed. In the end, whether out of shame or embarrassment, she reached out and pushed him away. "Let go, I want to get down." But when she struggled for a bit, she was held down. "Don't move." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu suddenly felt something, and the next second, her face suddenly became terribly hot. You. Lin Wanshu looked at him in astonishment. Qin Yan put the hoe and dustpan on the ground into the space. Then he carried her through the dense branches. A cave suddenly appeared behind the branches. When we walked into the cave, it was dark and chilly inside, and we could occasionally hear the sound of dripping water. Lin Wanshu quickly realized that this was a cave. No wonder there are such strange stones out there. The cave was winding and twisting, and Lin Wanshu couldn't help but hug his neck tightly. "You won't get lost, will you?" she asked with some concern. "No, go through the cave, and the exit is at Dongtu Mountain." Qin Yan soothed, but his voice was so low and hoarse that it made people blush and their hearts beat fast. Even though he had carried her for such a long distance, he didn't even breathe. It was as if my weight was no different from cotton to him. It's hard not to be fascinated by this masculine sense of power. In the end, no one knew who started it. The auras of the two people gradually became entangled. The next second, the two disappeared into the cave. By the time Lin Wanshu arrived at Wen City, it was already getting late. Because the schoolwork was heavy, Qin Yan didn't let her take care of Xiao Miao Miao. I just returned to the dormitory, and the lights were still on. Several female comrades were diligently carrying medical books. Seeing Lin Wanshu coming over, Meng Yuanshuang greeted her warmly. "Wanshu, you're here?" Looking at her rosy face and affectionate eyes, Tan Hongmei couldn't help but make a joke. "Wow. It seems like you're having a good time back home. Look at your little face." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu, who was already feeling a little guilty, blushed. The beauty's shy look made everyone stare at her in amazement. "My goodness, your man must be reluctant to let you come here, right? No wonder you got here so late." Chen Jiji couldn't help but exclaimed. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu thought about the reason why she almost missed the bus to work in the afternoon, and she felt like smoke was coming out of her head. Without daring to think too much, Lin Wanshu quickly changed the subject. "How did you do on the test yesterday?" She ran fast yesterday and didn't know what their situation was. As soon as the topic of exams came up, everyone's attention was diverted. Meng Yuanshuang's eyes were sparkling. "Wanshu, thanks to you. Otherwise, I would definitely fail. Many questions are too tricky, and it is impossible to pass the test without reading the entire book." The other two were also very grateful. "I feel like I should be fine, but I'm afraid I'll forget it in a few days, so I came here early to read and try to memorize it better." Hearing her say this, Lin Wanshu was very relieved. She was also afraid that they would slack off after passing the test. If that happened, it would go against her original intention. Because the exam was easy, everyone was in a good mood and was looking forward to the results being announced tomorrow. The next day, early in the morning, the trainees arrived at the temporary training classroom. Seeing Lin Wanshu, everyone present greeted her enthusiastically, without exception. That expression was as if she was their benefactor. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As everyone was eagerly waiting, Shi Serong finally arrived. But unexpectedly, she didn't look well. Seeing her like this, everyone who had been in the mood to joke around just now suddenly felt a tingling sensation on their scalps. Could there be something wrong with the test results? Sure Surong placed the test paper on the table and glanced around the classroom with a serious look. Only when everyone was looking at her anxiously did she speak. The results of this assessment are very good. All of them passed. Hearing this, everyone was confused. Since they all passed, why did she look so bad? Just as I was thinking this, I heard Sure Surong continue to say, "Since you are all so amazing and have memorized the book in such a short time, let's have an oral exam today." Hearing this, the students present had different expressions. Some were calm, some were nervous, and some were pale with wandering eyes. Sure Surong took in everyone's expressions. Already serious face looked even more stern, making people dare not breathe. Each person randomly selects 6 questions, and those who answer 2 or more questions incorrectly will be deemed to have failed. As soon as these words were spoken, several people couldn't help but start to sweat. Sure Surong saw it, and her eyes turned a little cold. I have already said this beforehand. The lives of future patients will be in your hands. There is no room for luck. Anyone who dares to take shortcuts in learning will be sent back to where he came from. The stern voice spread throughout the entire classroom, penetrated the students' eardrums, and struck their hearts. Sure Surong didn't waste any more time and started selecting people to answer questions. The first person to be drawn was Zhuo Xinshu. Zhuo Xinshu had consolidated his memory during the holidays. He still felt cold hands and feet and was extremely nervous when he was the first one to be picked. Please briefly describe the relationship between disease and pathological processes. First question was not difficult, and Zhuo Xinshu breathed a sigh of relief. I answered fluently. Sure Surong nodded and continued to ask questions. Next 3 questions are still not difficult, just a bit biased. Zhuo Xinshu answered all the questions without hesitation. Seeing that the questions were not difficult, the students also breathed a sigh of relief. Lin Wanshu felt that they relaxed too early. Sure enough, the last 2 questions started to become more challenging. Not only was it tricky, he even directly presented the case and asked Zhuo Xinshu to analyze it. Zhuo Xinshu answered reluctantly, his forehead already soaked with sweat. Good. Sure Surong gave an evaluation. She continued to pick people. Although everyone had to answer questions, no one present wanted it to be their turn so soon. It is better to live a miserable life than to die. Therefore, when Sure Surong's gaze swept over, half of the students couldn't help but lower their heads. Tan Hongmei nervously grabbed Lin Wanshu's hand and whispered in her ear, "Wanshu, I'm so scared." Lin Wanshu patted her hands, but didn't dare whisper to her. Instead, she whispered something encouraging. "You'll make it, don't worry." With her words, Tan Hongmei felt as if she had received some kind of guarantee and put her mind at ease. But Meng Yuanshuang next to her had already raised her hand, eager to try. "Teacher, I think the second answer is okay." Seeing how enthusiastic she was, Sure Surong's expression softened slightly. He stretched out his hand to her, motioning her to stand up. When others saw how brave Meng Yuanshuang was, they were all impressed. I don't know if it was because Meng Yuanshuang stood up on her own initiative, but her questions were not very difficult, except that 2 of them were a bit biased. The kind that you can't answer unless you have memorized the whole book. Meng Yuanshuang was indeed a medical geek who carried a book with her wherever she went. Not only were all her answers correct, she also gave examples of her own. Sure Surong nodded and was quite satisfied with her performance. With Meng Yuanshuang taking the lead, others also began to raise their hands enthusiastically. I hope I can also get some relatively simple questions. Lin Wanshu didn't compete with them. She planned to wait until they all answered before raising her hand. But her eccentric appearance made Sure Surong couldn't help but frown. I think she is too easily proud and complacent. The third question will be answered by Comrade Lin Wanshu. Sure Surong gestured to her. Lin Wanshu didn't expect that she was sitting at the back and was called even though she didn't raise her hand. She couldn't help but feel a little surprised. However, she didn't show it on her face and stood up with a good attitude. Sure Surong didn't hold back and went straight to the point of intensity. Asked were not only difficult but also a bit tricky. The students couldn't help but gasp. Several female comrades were full of worry, fearing that Lin Wanshu would not be able to answer. To everyone's surprise, Lin Wanshu answered such a difficult question easily. Tan Hongmei just breathed a sigh of relief for her. Next, Tan Hongmei's questions became more tricky, and the third question even directly involved case analysis. Such intensity made the students present tremble with fear. If it were them, they would be lucky if they could answer half of these questions. Everyone subconsciously held their breath and looked at Lin Wanshu. But she was still calm and unhurried. It seemed as if no matter what question Shi Serong asked, she could answer it. Shi Serong raised her eyebrows slightly when she saw that the 6 questions did not stump Lin Wanshu, and she asked a few more questions that were beyond the syllabus. Topics even cover biology, immunology, infectious diseases, etc. For questions that were beyond her syllabus, Lin Wanshu remained calm and composed from beginning to end, answering each question at a neither fast nor slow pace. The students were impressed to see that she was not stumped by so many questions that were beyond the syllabus. And Shi Serong finally showed her first satisfied smile in so many days. Comrade Lin Wanshu is good. It seems that he has worked hard in private. This was the first time the students saw Shi Serong smile, and they were all stunned on the spot. It turns out she can laugh too. I don't know if it was because I was in a good mood, but the following random test questions were all quite standard. These are questions that anyone can answer if they memorize the text carefully. But even so, there were still 3 students who either answered incorrectly or could not answer at all. Shi Serong took out a pen and lowered her head to make 3 marks on a notebook. You 3 don't need to come tomorrow. Go back to the county hospital and continue your studies. No nonsense, she said bluntly. Wang Jitsai's face turned pale instantly. Teacher, I was wrong. Please forgive me and give me another chance. He cannot be sent back. If he is sent back, how can he survive in the team? Shi Serong glanced at him indifferently. I'll let you off the hook, but who can let the patient off the hook? Shi Serong was admitted to medical school through the college entrance examination and has been practicing medicine for 15 years. She actually disagrees with the idea of directly selecting people from local areas for training. But in such an era, she had no choice. After all, many college students are unreliable. What else can we do if we don't select some people from below to learn from? Since she can't do anything about the current policies, she can only make strict and stringent demands. This is the only way to ensure that everyone who passes through her hands can truly become a qualified doctor. Hearing this, Wang Jitsai's face turned pale, and he felt ashamed and guilty. If he had known this earlier, he would have spent more time consolidating his learning. The other 2 were also too embarrassed to argue. After all, Lin Wanshu had already said that they had to go back to study after the exam. Who can they blame if they didn't do it? Finally, the 3 people left dejectedly. With the lessons learned from the previous incident, the rest of the people also realized how powerful Shi Serong was. I dare not be lazy at all. 20 to 40 hours a day, excluding a few hours for sleeping, eating, and bathing, they devote the rest of the time to studying wholeheartedly. Except Lin Wanshu. On that day's exam, Shi Serong conducted several more rounds of assessments on her. It turns out that she can do everything, even dissection. After a comprehensive assessment, Shi Serong looked at Lin Wanshu's information several times, and after confirming that she was indeed a junior high school graduate, she asked with some doubt in her life, "Where did you learn all this?" "No one taught me. My grandfather was a doctor. He left behind many medical books. I learned by myself." How could Shi Serong remain calm when she heard that she could achieve so much through self-study? Stood up and circled around Lin Wanshu several times, muttering, "What a good seedling! What a good seedling! She has learned so much on her own, but I can't imagine how far she can go with some guidance. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to go to training, you can go directly to clinical practice." Her medical knowledge reserves even exceed 90% of newly graduated medical students. Continuing to train on the basics is just a waste of time. To hear that she could directly start clinical internship. "Thank you, teacher. I will try my best and will not let you down." After 1 year of clinical internship, you can directly obtain a medical qualification certificate. Shi Serong told them all these procedures after the exam. Hearing that Lin Wanshu could go directly to clinical internship, several female comrades in the dormitory were extremely envious. Wow, when will I be able to pass the rest of the tests like you? Chun Jiji cried pretendingly. Wait until you finish memorizing these books. Tan Hongmei pointed to the pile of calligraphy on her desk. It turned out that Shi Serong had already sent the remaining books to them. The limit is to memorize all of them within half a year. Even with Lin Wanshu's quick memorization method, it was still a bit difficult to memorize so many books. But even so, no one thought of giving up. After all, if they pass the assessment, they can become real doctors. I want to learn from Comrade Lin Wanshu. I will try to go to clinical practice as soon as possible. Tan Hongmei made a gesture to cheer herself up. The other two were not willing to fall behind, and after expressing their attitude, they threw themselves back into their intensive studies. Originally, the clinical internship was supposed to be arranged in the ward, but Shi Serong planned to take her with her directly. For Lin Wanshu, being able to follow up directly with the patient is the best thing. On the 13th day after arriving in Lin City, Lin Wanshu went out to see patients with Shi Serong. It was her first time sitting in a hospital outpatient clinic, and she felt extremely curious. Although he had been to the outpatient clinic with Shi Serong before, he could only watch from the sidelines. But now, Shi Serong directly asked her to see the patient. There were 3 onlookers standing nearby, 2 men and 1 woman, and the woman was Meng Yuanshuang. Lin Wanshu had just sat in the clinic for a short while when a mother and son came in. The man was in his early 20s, tall and strong. The woman was a middle-aged woman in her 40s or 50s, with a yellow complexion, thin appearance, and a tired look. Excuse me, where do you feel uncomfortable? Lin Wanshu's voice is clear, and her tone is gentle. Even though she is wearing a mask, one can still tell that she is a young and beautiful girl. Quan Jingming noticed her as soon as he entered the door. Seeing that her voice was still so nice, I couldn't help but look at her a few more times. Doctor, my mom is in pain here. Quan Jingming pointed to the right side of his chest, and a shy smile appeared on his face. When Ma Jinhua saw Lin Wanshu for the first time, she couldn't help but frown. You are so young. How can you treat a disease? Don't make me sick. Go call someone with experience. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was not annoyed, but said in a good-tempered manner, Besides the pain here, have you been farting frequently recently, and have you had a loss of appetite and dry and itchy eyes? With every word she spoke, Ma Jinhua's eyes widened, while Quan Jingming next to her nodded vigorously. Yes, doctor. You are amazing. My mother's hair is falling out a lot. What's the problem? As he spoke, he unconsciously moved forward. When I looked at her up close, I realized she was even more beautiful. Her skin was as smooth as dough, and I couldn't even see a pore. Lin Wanshu frowned slightly. Comrade, there's no need to get so close. Hearing this, Quan Jingming stepped back awkwardly. Ma Jinhua's face suddenly turned bad. I think you're here, just to charming men, right? Why are you looking for a doctor when you look like this? You might as well find a man to marry. Thank you for your affirmation of my appearance, but it's not good to judge people by appearance. How can I know if I have the ability if you don't show me? Who praised you? Can you be less shameless? Ma Jinhua was so angry that her eyes were glaring, and just at this moment Shi Serong walked out from the inner room. Seeing her, Ma Jinhua hurried forward. Doctor, I'm not feeling well.
Please take a look at me.
I don't want her to see me. Although Shi Serong was very strict with the students, her attitude was unexpectedly gentle when she was in the outpatient clinic. When she heard what the patient said, she didn't get angry, but comforted her and let her sit down. The routine questioning and examination, she turned to Lin Wanshu and said, Tell me, what's her situation? That she didn't expect that she would have to ask the young doctor after all the twists and turns. However, she was afraid of offending the doctor and causing him to not prescribe the right medicine for her, so she had no choice but to endure it. When Shi Serong was examining him just now, Lin Wanshu was watching beside him. When she heard her question, she answered without hesitation, My diagnosis is cirrhosis of the liver. Upon hearing this, Ma Jinhua's face turned dark. I just feel a little pain here. How can you curse me? Do you know how to treat illness? If you don't know, Don't talk nonsense. Don't think she doesn't know what cirrhosis of the liver means? The old man next door suffered from liver cirrhosis and died in great pain. When Quan Jingming heard that his mother might have cirrhosis of the liver, how could he have any romantic thoughts? However, he didn't have the heart to be mean to the beautiful doctor, so he said in a gentle voice, "Yes, little doctor, you are still so young. You shouldn't be so arbitrary. Let this doctor check my mother first." Meng Yuanshuang couldn't help but feel worried when she saw Lin Wanshu being scolded. Shi Serong looked calm from beginning to end. Ignoring what the mother and son said, he asked Lin Wanshu how she made her judgment. Lin Wanshu repeated the patient's symptoms. She pointed to the red moles on her hand and said, "This is a sign of liver qi stagnation, which has long transformed into fire." Hearing this, Ma Jinhua's eyes suddenly widened. Looking at the red mole that suddenly appeared on her hand, she felt like the sky was falling.
Impossible. Impossible.
How could she have cirrhosis of the liver? Just as I was thinking this, I heard the older doctor speak. "My patient, your condition is initially diagnosed as liver cirrhosis. You cannot go home right away. You need to undergo further examination."
Impossible.
"You are quacks and liars. You hired such a small goblin to fool the devil. I will go somewhere else. I won't check here." After Ma Jinhua finished speaking, she led her son away angrily. Lin Wanshu, thinking that she was frightened, Shi Serong changed her usual stern attitude and comforted her gently instead. "This is normal, don't take it personally, just take it easy." Meng Yuanshuang was immediately envious when she saw how gentle Shi Serong's tone was when speaking to Lin Wanshu. It turns out that Shi Serong wasn't born to be so strict. But to catch her eye, you need to have the ability. Thinking of this, Meng Yuanshuang couldn't help but secretly swear in her heart that one day she would get Shi Serong's attention. While waiting for the patient, Lin Wanshu picked up the case records that Shi Serong had recorded and began to study them. Seeing how capable and hardworking she is, how could others feel comfortable being lazy? Immediately, everyone followed her to study the case. Mainly, they asked questions, and Lin Wanshu explained. Shi Serong looked at the people who were working hard to make progress, and a hint of satisfaction flashed in her eyes. Not long after, several more patients arrived. These patients seemed to be easy to talk to. Although Lin Wanshu looked young, they did not ask to change doctors. Lin Wanshu successfully treated 4 or 5 patients. Shi Serong gave almost no advice during the whole process. She just sat in her seat and wrote something. Meng Yuanshuang and the 2 male comrades did not dare to underestimate Lin Wanshu's strength. While she was treating patients, the 3 of them listened attentively and took notes seriously. After a whole day of seeing patients, except for Ma Jinhua, Lin Wanshu's treatment went smoothly. I looked at the time, and it was already past 5 o'clock. Today is Saturday, and she has to go back to the hospital to check Luo Chuanxiang's physical condition. After work, Lin Wanshu took off her white coat, put on her backpack, and went out to catch the bus. She was already familiar with the way home. It is already mid-October, and the weather is getting cooler. Meng Yuanshuang also wants to go back to Lan County today, so she will take the bus with her. The 2 of them are now as familiar as ever. Meng Yuanshuang still never put down the book and reads wherever she goes. The car was too shaky to see, so she wanted to talk to Lin Wanshu about today's case. All the way, and when I returned to Lan County, it was dark again. Before getting out of the car, Lin Wanshu asked with concern, "Yuan Shuang, where's your home? Is there anyone to pick you up?" Hearing this, a trace of embarrassment flashed across Meng Yuanshuang's face.
No.
"No, I can just walk back. It's at the downhill team, not far away." Lin Wanshu. 8 or 9 kilometers is not far. Don't go alone. I'm on my way downhill. My husband will come pick me up later. You can ride back with me. How could Meng Yuanshuang be willing to trouble her? Just as she was about to say no, the car stopped and Lin Wanshu took her hand. The 2 got off the car. A deep and pleasant male voice was heard. "Wan Wan." Meng Yuanshuang looked in the direction of the voice and saw a tall figure in military uniform pushing a bicycle towards them. And his eyes stayed only on the person next to her from beginning to end, as if he could not see anyone else except her. Meng Yuanshuang's eyes. Lin Wanshu held Meng Yuanshuang with one hand and waved to Qin Yan with the other. This is my friend. Can we give her a ride later? Hearing this, Qin Yan seemed to notice that she had someone on her arm. After nodding to Meng Yuanshuang, he looked away, as if he couldn't see enough. His eyes were fixed on his wife.
Good.
Xiao Miaomiao was sitting in the basket in the front of the car. Seeing that her mother was busy talking and ignoring her, the little guy became anxious. Mother! While glaring at her tiny feet, she stretched out her hands towards her, looking as if asking for a hug. Lin Wanshu already felt very indebted to her own daughter, so seeing her asking for a hug, how could she refuse? She quickly picked her up, kissed her again and again, and then said, Meow meow, dear, sit in the front first. When we get home, Mom will hold you again, okay? Although Xiao Miaomiao didn't quite understand what her mother said, she still sat in the front seat obediently because there was delicious food to be had. After settling Xiao Miaomiao, Lin Wanshu got into the car first, laid wooden boards and padded cotton on the back seat of the 28-inch bicycle. It was not only wide enough, but also soft enough to accommodate 2 people. After sitting down, she turned around and waved to Meng Yuanshuang. Yuan Shuang, come up quickly. Afraid that she would fall if she sat in the back, Lin Wanshu moved forward, almost sticking to Qin Yan. Meng Yuanshuang didn't hesitate anymore and sat on it. Just as she reached out and grabbed Lin Wanshu's clothes, she saw her man turned around and said, Hold on tight, I'm going to ride my bike. Although he didn't refer to anyone in particular, everyone could tell that he was talking to Lin Wanshu. It is hard not to envy this kind of wholehearted preference. Meng Yuanshuang looked in the direction of the team going downhill, with a hint of loneliness in her eyes. Although she was married and had a child, she did not dare to hope that her man would come to pick her up. The bicycle slowly moved on the way home. The sky was getting darker and darker, and Lin Wanshu subconsciously grabbed Qin Yan's clothes tightly, fearing that he would ride into the ditch. But he seemed to be completely unaffected and rode steadily all the way. Seeing this, Lin Wanshu was relieved. Afraid that Meng Yuanshuang would be bored, she went to talk to her again. Meng Yuanshuang is indeed a medical geek, and he talks about cases every 3 sentences. The downhill brigade was also not far from the troops. Couple first sent her home before riding their bicycles back to their compound. After returning home, Luo Chunxiang was waiting for her at the door, as usual. Lin Wanshu was relieved to see that her complexion had improved a lot. Wanshu, thanks to you. If it weren't for you, I don't know what to do. Although she is still very weak, she no longer feels pain all over her body like before. These days, she is even able to go out to work in the fields again. Yu Fangfang, Ji Hualan, and several other military wives were waiting for her at her home early in the morning. Everyone was shocked to hear that Lin Wanshu had skipped the training and went straight to the hospital to see patients. Wanshu, you are so amazing, aren't you? Does this mean you will be able to get a medical license soon? It won't be quick. I need to do an internship for a year. Speaking of this, Lin Wanshu became depressed again. She has to do an internship for a year and occasionally have to be on night duty, so she has no way to take Xiao Miaomiao to the hospital. She couldn't let Ji Hualan help her take care of the children all the time, right? Thinking of this, Lin Wanshu has begun to consider whether to send Xiao Miaomiao to the nursery in the army. Hearing that she was worried about Miaomiao, Ji Hualan said with some amusement, Hey, don't worry, there are so many of us in the family compound. How can we not be able to see one of your family members? That's right. If Hualan can't take care of it, I'm here. You can just leave Miaomiao at my house and I'll take care of her for you. Yang Zheng also patted his chest and made the promise. People of this generation are very kind-hearted and are willing to lend a hand to anyone who needs help. What's more, Lin Wanshu went to the hospital for internship. Who can guarantee that one day I won't have to ask her for help? Help her now so that you can come to her easily when you need help in the future. Especially when they saw that the frail Luo Chunxiang had recovered so well under her treatment, the military wives became more determined to help Lin Wanshu. Luo Chunxiang felt obliged to do so. Wanshu, you can leave her with me. I have many children at home, and she will have company there. Lin Wanshu looked at the warm-hearted military wives, and it would be a lie to say she wasn't touched. But she was also embarrassed to really leave her child to someone else to take care of for such a long time. After all, military wives also have their own things to do on weekdays. Thank you for your kindness, sisters-in-law, but the internship is too long, so I'd better send her to the military nursery.
School.
If Qin Yan is on a mission, it won't be too late to call other military wives to help take over. Ji Hualon glared at her. Miao Miao is still so young. You are willing to send her to a nursery, but I can't. Just leave her at my house. If her two sons knew that their sister had to be sent to daycare, wouldn't they be angry with her? Others also advised Lin Wanshu not to be so distant with them. Lin Wanshu was deeply moved once again, but she still insisted on sending the baby to the nursery. Ji Hualon couldn't help but sigh, feeling that her son would blame her for going back to play. You are good in every way, except that you are too reserved. Lin Wanshu knew that they really wanted to help her, and she appreciated their kindness. Thinking of the ointment in the space, she became more determined in her determination. Let's end it there for a few days to see if Miao Miao can adapt. If she can adapt, I'll definitely trouble you again later. Having said that, the military wives stopped trying to persuade them. We started talking about other things. Hey, did you know? The captain and his wife just came back. It turned out that Qiu Yong took Yuanju to the provincial hospital last week and did not return until today. After hearing this, the military wives became extremely curious. How is Director He now? Ever since they found out she had split personality, everyone has been anxious and wants to know what's going on with her. Now hearing that someone had returned, everyone pricked up their ears. I ran into them outside my house today. You know what? She's really like a different person now. Her whole temperament was completely different from before. Although He Wenju is a city dweller, her words and actions are always stiff and pretentious. But when I suddenly saw He Wenju today, I had the illusion that I was seeing an intellectual. After hearing Jian Hongmian's description, the military wives couldn't help but get goosebumps. However, everyone remembered what Lin Wanshu had said before, so they didn't dare to say anything nonsense for fear of being caught. Although he didn't say it, he couldn't help but grumble in his heart. What kind of dual personality does she really have? A group of people were chatting, and soon it was 8 o'clock. Knowing that she still needed to eat and take a shower, they did not disturb her for long. Soon they left in 2s and 3s. Lin Wanshu finished her meal and took a shower. She played with Xiao Miao Miao on the bed. She didn't enter the space until she coaxed the baby to sleep. First, he checked the results of his ointment test, and then he started to build a house similar to the staff quarters. Fortunately, building a house in space does not require her to move it with manpower. Just manipulate the materials and build it. However, building a brick house is still very energy-consuming. After a while, Qin Yan also came in. I was a little surprised to see her building a house. But he didn't ask why and just started to help. What surprised Lin Wanshu was that the materials were assembled at a very fast speed under his control. It seemed that for him, building these things did not require much mental energy. Or maybe his mental strength was simply too strong, and destroying a house was just a piece of cake for him. Before long, several tiled houses were replicated one-to-one. Even the furniture inside was made exactly from the trees he got from the mountains. Lin Wanshu, you built this because you want to bring Xiao Miao Miao into the space someday? Qin Yan already knew that she would be doing an internship for a year, so he guessed it. Lin Wanshu nodded, but her brows were tightly locked. Although the wish is beautiful, in reality the distance is too far and Qin Yan has no way to enter the space. Even though she knew it was impossible, she still couldn't help but look forward to it. What if one day the distance is far enough? Qin Yan will also be able to enter the space. Qin Yan looked at her guilty expression and couldn't help but feel distressed. He reached out and gently stroked her brow, and after a pause he said, Wan, don't blame yourself. There's nothing wrong with pursuing your own ideals. Miao Miao still has me here. These days, Qin Yan goes to the military camp every morning and comes back at noon to prevent the little guy from getting used to being away from his mother. In the afternoon, he would try to come back early if he had nothing to do. With his company and training, Xiao Miao Miao has become more independent. I believe that even if Lin Wanshu goes for an internship, She will be able to adapt. After hearing what he said, Lin Wanshu's mood finally improved a lot. Early the next morning, Lin Wanshu went to the vegetable field carrying a basket. Xiao Miao Miao was also carrying a small basket and following her mother happily. There are two baskets, one large and one small, of the same style, which looks very unique. However, Xiao Miao Miao's basket is obviously not used to carry vegetables. We picked wild flowers along the way, with the help of our brothers and sisters. Before she reached the field, her basket was already filled with flowers. Ji Hualan and Yu Fangfang also went to the fields. However, Yu Fangfang was obviously just there to watch the show, as her hands were empty and she didn't take anything. Instead, the little Jianxi behind her was carrying a special small hoe and a small scoop, as if he was going to work in the fields. A group of people came to the vegetable garden in a lively manner. As soon as they approached, they saw a familiar yet unfamiliar figure. "It's Director He," Zhong Fengshu muttered softly. Although her voice was very low, He Wenju seemed to feel it. She was picking vegetables when she raised her head, smiled, and nodded to them. "Are you here to pick vegetables too?" He Wenju's smile was faint. It did not make people uncomfortable. On the contrary, this cool feeling gives her a natural elegance. She seemed like a lady from the old times. The military wives present were all stunned where they were. Yang Zheng was right. He Wenju has become a different person. Lin Wanshu had already seen her changes in the hospital, so she wasn't too surprised. Although it is a rule not to hit someone who smiles at you, she still keeps a wait-and-see attitude towards this strange personality. "Good morning, Director He." Lin Wanshu nodded at her politely. He Wenju didn't mind, but the smile on her face deepened a little. "I have to thank you for what happened last week." Lin Wanshu. "Thank her? Why should I thank her?" His inquiring gaze looked straight into her eyes, as if he wanted to see through her soul. He Wenju did not keep me in suspense and continued, "Thank you for reminding me to go to the provincial hospital to see a doctor. The doctor has prescribed me some medicine and told me to take good care of myself and not get upset again. If not for this, she would not have been able to show her true nature openly to others. Although she has been with He Wenju for more than 20 years, she is not her after all, and she can't learn her ways." Lin Wanshu. It was clearly words of thanks, so why did it sound a little weird to her? "So, if there is no stimulation in the future, you will live with this personality?" Lin Wanshu asked tentatively. The other military wives also pricked up their ears, staring at He Wenju with curious eyes. He Wenju nodded. The doctor is right. In a sense, her continuing to live in this way can be considered another form of recovery. He Wenju has no psychological burden about this. After all, that soul had been living in her body for more than 20 years, and she was just taking back what belonged to her. It's a bad fate, to say the least. He Wenju died at the hands of the enemy in her previous life. After her reincarnation, she did not forget her past memories at first. It was not until I was 3 years old that I began to slowly forget some things. Just at this moment, she fell ill, and her body was taken over by a spirit that came from nowhere. Should have been forgotten were unexpectedly retained, and instead the soul that occupied his body had its memory cleared to a blank. Although He Wenju looked polite and spoke normally, but the military wives subconsciously stayed away from her. If you didn't know what was going on, you would think you had seen a ghost. He Wenju still didn't mind. After chatting with Lin Wanshu for a few words, she continued to pick her own vegetables. Although he looked a little unfamiliar with the technique, his movements were meticulous, as if he was not picking vegetables but some kind of experimental subjects. Seeing how confident she was, not worrying at all about what others thought, it was hard for Lin Wanshu not to admire her. What kind of mental quality does one have to remain calm in the face of so many questioning eyes? But this matter has little to do with her. After all, Chiu Yong had already taken her to the provincial hospital, and the doctor said so her condition could be considered to have been determined. After picking vegetables for a while, He Wenju suddenly thought of something and raised her voice again. "By the way, I have resigned from the position of director of the Parents' Committee. From now on, you can just call me He Wenju." Hearing this, the military wives were suddenly in an uproar. It was as if he didn't understand why she, who had been vying to be the director, suddenly made a 180-degree turn and quit the job. The doctor said that I need to rest well and not overwork myself. I'll let someone else do this job, He Wenju said again slowly. After all, she is now mentally ill. How can she be qualified for such an important position? But He Wenju didn't mind. She didn't like doing such tedious work. He Wenju is no longer the director, and her temperament has changed, and she seems much calmer. Originally a little terrified, had unknowingly let down their guard. Started chatting with her. But no matter how much we chat, we still need to maintain our distance. Lin Wanshu was not in the staff quarters. It was Qin Yan who watered the vegetables. He is originally from the countryside, so growing vegetables is naturally a piece of cake for him. Are still growing lushly under his care. Yu Fongfong squatted beside her vegetable patch, drooling at the green vegetables. Lin Wanshu picked a tomato and handed it to her. Here are the tomatoes you wanted. Yu Fongfong looked at the red tomatoes in her hand, and her eyes suddenly lit up. Without any hesitation, she took it directly, washed it in the stream, wiped it dry with a towel, and began to chew it happily. These tomatoes are really delicious, sour and sweet. Than anything she had ever eaten before. I don't know how Lin Wanshu grew up. Lin Wanshu planted a row of tomatoes next to the vegetable patch. She hadn't been in the family compound for a week, and Qin Yan probably didn't eat much vegetables either. Now a row of bamboo fences were full of red tomatoes. Lin Wanshu picked all the red ones and gave some to each military wife. The military wives took the round, red tomatoes and were all very happy. Of them were reluctant to make it like Yu Fongfong did, and just planned to take it home and eat it slowly. Each military wife got 3 or 4 tomatoes, and there were 7 or 8 left after the whole process. Lin Wanshu looked at He Wenju, who was picking vegetables, thought for a moment, and gave her 3. These are the tomatoes I grew. Would you like to take some home to try? Although they did have some conflicts in the past, now that He Wenju has chosen to let go of the past, she wouldn't want to be too awkward with her. He Wenju had almost finished picking the tomatoes. When she looked up, she saw 3 bright red, incredibly beautiful tomatoes. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. As if she couldn't resist the temptation of tomatoes, she hesitated for a moment, then reached out to take it. Then I thank you. Lin Wanshu smiled and nodded, and left without staying any longer. On the way back, the military wives were chattering away, and they all looked like they were in a good mood. He Wenju followed the crowd neither too close nor too far away. Looking at the plump tomatoes in the basket, she was also in a good mood. He ignored He Wenju, shouting, "Why did you quit your job as director? You idiot. Do you know how hard it was for me to get this job? Even quarreled countless times over this job. And she just resigned just like that?" Ever since she took back her body, He Wenju has never spoken a word to that soul. She knew He Wenju too well. If she replied to her, she would definitely go on and on. Carrying the vegetables, I walked all the way back home. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Chiu Tingting walking towards her listlessly. "Mom, why did you come back just now?"
I'm starving.
He Wenju looked at the child who was already on her chest, paused, and then said, "If you are hungry, you can cook a meal first." Hearing this, Chiu Tingting's eyes widened. It was as if she couldn't believe how such words could come out of her mother's mouth. "Mom, I'm your daughter, not your servant. How can you ask me to cook?" The He Wenju in the body is also clamoring. "She is my daughter. How can you be so vicious and order my daughter to cook? Let Tingting cook for her? Is she worthy?" He Wenju sneered, finally willing to pay attention to another He Wenju. Giving birth but not educating. Is this what you call motherly love? Sorry, I cannot agree with this. Since I will be in charge of her life from now on, I will naturally be responsible for her future. This, she ignored He Wenju's incompetent rage, and instead began to reason with Chiu Tingting. "Mom asks you, will you eat this rice after it's cooked?" Of course Chiu Tingting has to eat, and not only that, she wants to eat enough. Her father is the head of the group, and he is the most powerful person here. Without hesitation, she nodded. He Wenju continued to ask, "Since you also want to eat, Why do I ask you to cook a meal? You say I treat you as a servant? Where had Qiu Tingting ever thought about such a question? She was simply unhappy with her mother asking her to cook. She stammered and couldn't utter a word for a long time. How could He Wenju not see that she was guilty? But she didn't expose her, but said seriously, since you are a member of this family, you should take on some family responsibilities. You cook not only for your parents, but also for yourself, don't you think? Qiu Tingting lowered her head and said nothing. Although she felt guilty, she was still somewhat unconvinced and even felt that her mother had become nagging. Seeing that she was still pouting, He Wenju asked back, Or, do you not acknowledge that you are a member of this family? Her tone was clearly neither light nor heavy, but Qiu Tingting did not dare to get angry like she used to. She had a strange feeling that if she didn't acknowledge herself as a member of this family, her mother might stop cooking for her. Said reluctantly, Well, okay, I'll go cook, but I don't know how to do it. If the kitchen catches fire, it won't be her fault. He Wenju felt somewhat comforted when she saw that she could still scream. If you don't know how, I'll teach you. Hearing this, Qiu Tingting said, Oh, and followed He Wenju into the kitchen with a somewhat depressed look, ready to learn how to cook. He Wenju instructed her step by step on how to put rice in, how to wash rice, and how to make a fire. Although Qiu Tingting did it with some clumsiness, at least she managed to cook the meal. He Wenju's eyes flashed with satisfaction, and then she said softly, Tingting, you have grown up, and your mother can't accompany you forever. You have to learn some skills. You don't have to do them, but you have to know them so that no matter where you go, you can take care of yourself, understand? Qiu Tingting seemed to understand, and blinked her eyes. She looked at her mother with some confusion. She felt that she had changed a lot. As soon as He Wenju finished speaking, she turned around and saw Qiu Yong standing at the door. He Wenju, you're back? She greeted him lightly. It's still that lukewarm attitude, neither close nor distant. It was as if they were just strangers living under the roof. Qiu Yong pursed his lips. His expression couldn't be described as good, nor bad. After answering, he carried the firewood he had just picked up and put it on the woodpile. He Wenju ignored him and washed the tomatoes that Lin Wanshu gave her. One to Tingting, who was making a fire, and she planned to use the remaining two to make tomato and egg soup. Qiu Tingting doesn't like tomatoes because she thinks they taste weird. But I saw her mother, who had just scolded her, washing tomatoes for her to eat. This made her feel flattered. Without hesitation, she reached out to take the tomato, put it in her mouth, and started eating it. Unexpectedly, the taste of this tomato was not as strange as before. Instead, it was sour and sweet, like fruit. Qiu Tingting ate with gusto. After He Wenju cut the tomatoes, she beat 2 eggs in a bowl and stirred them skillfully with chopsticks. Seeing Qiu Yong still standing by the stove, she suddenly thought of something and asked, By the way, last time you said you found a job for me in Ning City, right? Qiu Yong didn't know why she suddenly brought this up, but he nodded anyway.
Yes.
That's perfect. I've already quit my job as the head of the family committee. I'll be back in Ning City soon. Hearing this, Qiu Yong was even more shocked. Are you serious? She even got caught in the rain and had a high fever because of this matter, but now she suddenly changed her mind? Although he already knew that she had become a different person, Qiu Yong still felt a little uncomfortable. Well, I'm not kidding. I just quit my job. I'll take Tingting back with me when the time comes. Although she got her body back, she was marrying another soul after all, and He Wenju didn't know how to get along with Qiu Yong. Instead of staying here staring at each other, it would be better to go back to Ning City. Although He Wenju's change was somewhat unexpected to Qiu Yong, letting her return to Ning City was already planned. Since she was willing to go back, he naturally had no objection. Okay, I understand. Qiu Tingting didn't expect her mother to go back to Ning City, so she didn't even bother to eat tomatoes. Mom, I don't want to go back to Ning City. I want to stay here. He Wenju knew why Qiu Tingting didn't want to return to Ning City. Seeing her resistance, I comforted her. After we go back, we will live in the dormitory. I will go to work during the day, and you will go to school. On weekends, Mom will take you to the park. Hearing her say this, Qiu Tingting, who was originally resisting, brightened up her eyes. Real? He Wenju nodded. Really, I'm not lying to you. Then I want to go back. As long as she doesn't go home, she would of course like to stay in Ning City. After all, the city is so convenient. Frowned when he saw that Hyunju had no intention of returning to the Chiu family. It's not good for you, a girl, to live outside. I don't agree. After hearing this, the smile on Hyunju's face faded a little. Captain Chiu, I just married you, not sold myself to you. It's my freedom to live wherever I want. Besides, there are so many female comrades living in the factory dormitory. Why can't I live there? These words left Xiao Yong speechless. Finally, he said angrily, It's up to you. The two finished talking. The kitchen fell into silence again. With a tomato and egg soup, stir-fried vegetables, and fried fish. Although the dish is light, the taste is surprisingly good. Qiu Tingting was very satisfied with the meal. After eating, she habitually threw away the bowl and chopsticks and prepared to run away. But he didn't expect to be stopped by Hyunju again. Wait, what are you going to say after you refill? Qiu Tingting blinked and looked at her in confusion. She's full. So what else can she say? Across Hyunju's eyes. It turned out that guy really didn't want to teach her anything. After you're full, you have to say heko to everyone, okay? As she spoke, she taught her dining etiquette in a gentle voice. Although her voice was not loud, Qiu Tingting inexplicably felt as if she dared not act rashly. Finally, under her instruction, she whispered, I'm full, Dad, eat slowly, Mom, eat slowly. Although she spoke haltingly, Hyunju still nodded and praised her with a smile. After being praised, Qiu Tingting reflexively raised her head and chest, looking extremely proud. Qiu Yong looked at Hyunju, who continued to eat slowly, then looked at his happy daughter. His heart felt like a mess, and he didn't know what to feel. Lin Wanshu took Xiao Miao Miao to the nursery. When the Shin Si brothers heard that Xiao Miao Miao was going to nursery, they were both a little depressed. On the contrary, it's a small construction that makes me as happy as the new year. Sister, I will go to school with you from now on. Don't worry, I will protect you. He patted his chest and assured. It turns out that the kindergarten and nursery are in the same place, just separated by half a wall. After hearing this, Shunyu felt even worse. Mom, why do you want to send me to primary school so early? I also want to go to kindergarten with my sister. Ji Hualan was speechless. You are already 6 years old. How can you not go to preschool? Do you have the nerve to stay in kindergarten? Shunyu was not convinced and pointed at Feng Jianxi and said, How can he do that? Without waiting for Ji Hualan to speak, Feng Jianxi made a face. I am 1 year younger than you, slightly younger. Shunyu was furious. Feng Jianxi was so happy that he managed to score a goal. Chatting with Xiao Miao Miao. Unexpectedly, Shin Si did not stop him. Instead, he was told to take good care of his sister and prevent her from being bullied. Of course I will protect her. I will beat up anyone who dares to bully her. As he spoke, Feng Jianxi compared his arms. Yu Fongfong looked at her son's smug look and the corners of her mouth twitched involuntarily. Finally, she couldn't bear to watch anymore and just turned her head away. Hey, Hualan, what are you doing at the parent committee? Yu Fongfong was simply bored. Knowing that Lin Wanshu was going to Win City again in the afternoon, she wanted to stick to her. Who knew that when I went out I would run into Ji Hualan, who was going to the parents' committee. It just happened to be on the same way, so we went together. I don't know. Director Ma asked me to go. Ji Hualan was also confused. Hyunju is no longer the head of the parents' committee. Are you going to take over? Yu Fongfong guessed with a smile. How is that possible? There are so many powerful sisters-in-law in the family compound. It won't be my turn no matter what.
Ye Hualan disagreed.
Lin Wanshu felt that it was very likely. After all, Ji Hualan could get along with almost everyone in the staff quarters. With her personality, she is suitable for handling the affairs of the family compound. The group soon arrived at the Parent-Teacher Association, and the Child Care Center was right next to the association's office area. There are 2 rooms in total. One is for taking care of children under 3 years old, and the other is for children aged 3 to 5 who attend kindergarten. The house is surrounded by iron railings so children can play in the yard. It's a holiday today, and there is only one teacher inside. The teacher was also a military wife. Her name was Fong Yun. Lin Wanshu only knew her by acquaintance, but they were not very familiar with each other. Fong Yun was quite enthusiastic when she saw Lin Wanshu. "Comrade Wanshu, why are you here?" Lin Wanshu could say anything. Fong Jianxi said loudly, "Teacher Fong, we are here to register with our sister. She will also be attending childcare." Fong Yun spends most of her time in kindergarten and doesn't have much time to interact with Lin Wanshu. However, she has admired this military wife for a long time. When she heard that she was going to send her daughter to kindergarten, she became even more enthusiastic. "Little boy, are you going to kindergarten?" Fong Yun squatted down and said to Xiao Miao Miao. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know what kindergarten was. When she saw Fong Yun's friendly smile, she nodded. "Want?" Fong Yun, probably because she had received some training, quickly became familiar with Xiao Miao Miao. He even held her little hand. Lin Wanshu was a little surprised. Fong Yun looked at her and smiled. "This little girl is very brave and not shy at all. By the way, what's her name?" Fong Jianxi had just gotten there first, and Xinyu had been waiting for an opportunity. When he heard the teacher ask question, he answered loudly, "Teacher, I know. My sister's name is Miao Miao." Lin Wanshu was interrupted twice, feeling helpless and amused. Touching Xinyu's head, she smiled and said, "That's my sister's nickname. Her real name is Qin Jiao." When the little ones heard Xiao Miao Miao's name for the first time, they were all very surprised. Xinyu even came directly in front of Xiao Miao Miao and kept calling her Sister Jiao and Sister Jiao. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know her full name yet. When she heard him call Jiao sister, her big eyes were filled with confusion. Shen Xi repeated Miao Miao's name several times, with a strange light flashing in his eyes. Fong Jianxi even gave Xiao Miao Miao his own nickname. One Yao Yao on the left mouth and one Yao Yao on the right mouth. Lin Wanshu let the little ones play by themselves and went to sign up with Fong Yun. Education is not free these days, and a semester of childcare costs $6. But Xiao Miao Miao entered school midway, so she only had to pay $4.50. After registering the little one and giving him a tour of the daycare room, the group left. Coincidentally, Ji Hualan also came out of the Parent-Teacher Association office. "How is it? What does Director Ma want to talk to you about?" Yu Fongfong asked curiously. Hearing this, Ji Hualan looked at Yu Fongfong with a complicated look, paused, and then said, "You really guessed it right. Director Ma said that the job of the director of the family committee will be handed over to me." Yu Fongfong smiled with a smug look on her face. "See, I told you could do it, but you didn't believe me." If she were to say, "There is no one in this residential compound more suitable for this job than Ji Hualan," Lin Wanshu was also happy for her. "Hualan, congratulations. If I do this job well, I won't have to worry about where to go in the future." Ji Hualan was also very excited in her heart, but she restrained herself and did not show it. After all, He Wenju quit her job because she was sick, so she got a good deal. If she was in high spirits, it would be embarrassing if other people heard it. However, the news that she had become the director of the family committee quickly spread throughout the entire compound. Most people are convinced that she is the director, but a few are jealous. I wonder how she, the wife of a political instructor, can become the head of the parents' committee. Then tell me, besides her, who else can sit in this position?
Could it be you?
Hearing Du Fuling's words, Tang Qian rolled her eyes. "I didn't say it was me, at least it should be a taller one, right?" Hearing this, Tang Qian started counting on her fingers. The regiment leader's wife is ill, Director Ma has to take care of the Women's Federation, and the deputy political commissar's wife and the deputy regiment leader's wife both have jobs. Among the remaining people, who else is more suitable than Ji Hualan? At the end of the conversation, Du Fuling was simply speechless. But she was still not convinced and felt that Ji Hualan's identity was not qualified. No matter what others thought, Ji Hualan took office the next day. Lin Wanshu also returned to Winshire Hospital and started seeing patients. As soon as I put on my white coat and sat down, two familiar figures rushed in like a gust of wind. "Doctor, Please help my mother. She is in great pain.
Kwon zheng ming puld ma Jinhua to shit apezit lin vanshu.
Ma Jinhua's complexion looked worse than last time. She kept covering her stomach with her hands and kept shouting, "Ouch, ouch."
Doctor, please help me.
Ma Jinhua no longer has the arrogance she had last time. Leaving the military hospital last time, she changed to another hospital. After doing a lot of tests, the doctor also said that she had cirrhosis of the liver and asked her to be hospitalized for surgery. Ma Jinhua naturally refused, thinking that the doctor was not as good as Lin Wanshu. People can tell what her situation is just by looking at her. Over there, where they did a lot of tests, it was obvious at first glance that he was trying to trick her. Ma Jinhua refused to be hospitalized, but she was too embarrassed to come to the military hospital again. After returning home, she heard her neighbor say that there was a secret remedy, so she asked her son to get it. As a result, not long after she finished eating, she felt severe stomach pain. In the end, there was no choice but to shamelessly go to the military hospital again early in the morning. Lin Wanshu didn't say anything sarcastic, but asked her to stretch out her hand. Hearing this, Ma Jinhua did not dare to resist and obediently put her hands on the table. Then he brought a small cloth pillow, placed the patient's hand on it, and then began to take her pulse. Lin Wanshu started seeing patients. She had already asked Shi Serong if she could also take the patient's pulse and diagnose the disease. Who came to listen today were Tan Hongmei and 3 other male students. Seeing Lin Wanshu taking the patient's pulse directly, the 4 of them looked a little surprised. However, they did not question it, but watched attentively from the side. After feeling Ma Jinhua's pulse for a while, Lin Wanshu looked at her tongue, checked her arms and stomach, and then said, "Your liver cirrhosis is only in the early stages, not serious, but you are showing symptoms of poisoning now. Did you eat anything last night?" When she heard that, she even knew that she had eaten the wrong thing. I ate a toad boiled with green beans. My next-door neighbor said that eating this can cure liver cirrhosis. Lin Wanshu. Toads are poisonous and cannot cure liver cirrhosis. You must trust your doctor and seek scientific treatment. Unable to hold back, she said something. Thanks to her for knowing how to deal with it, the poisoning was not that serious. Otherwise, how could we be talking here right now? After Ma Jinhua saw how powerful Lin Wanshu was, how could she dare to refute her? Just wailed and begged Lin Wanshu to help her. Lin Wanshu did not delay and directly let her into the treatment room to detoxify her first. Shi Serong arrived. The 4 students followed her in, intending to see how Lin Wanshu detoxified the patient. Since she had been poisoned, and there was no point in inducing vomiting, Lin Wanshu first gave her an antidote, then took out the silver needles and gave her acupuncture to ped up blood circulation and eliminate toxins. Tan Hongmei's jaw almost dropped to the ground when she saw how beautifully she performed acupuncture. Ma Jinhua felt severe stomach pain at first, but after a while, the pain gradually eased. I was sweating all over. Unexpectedly, she cured herself of the poisons so quickly. Ma Jinhua immediately felt extremely regretful. If she had known earlier, she would not have run away yesterday. Not only did she spend a lot of money, but she also suffered so much. Just at this time, Shi Serong also came in. When she saw the silver needles inserted into Ma Jinhua's body, she was stunned at first. After asking about Ma Jinhua's condition, a hint of relief flashed to her eyes. Lin Wanshu detoxified Ma Jinhua. She returned to the clinic to prescribe medicine for her. Your condition is not serious. I'll prescribe some medicine to soften and dissipate the nodules, clear away heat and detoxify, and then protect your liver. There's a chance that sclerosis can be reversed, and it won't affect your life. Heard her say that her liver cirrhosis was not serious and could still be treated. Her face turned red with excitement. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. I will definitely cooperate with your treatment. Shi Serong was somewhat relieved just now, but when she heard Lin Wanshu dare to guarantee that liver cirrhosis could be reversed, she couldn't help but frown. But she didn't say anything, just watched her prescribe the medicine. Lin Wanshu was explaining the daily precautions to Ma Jinhua. She was writing the prescription on the prescription pad. Doctors' handwriting in this era is extremely illegible and completely incomprehensible to laymen. However, Lin Wanshu had only been in the profession for a short time and had not yet learned the doctor's special font, so the words she wrote on the prescription looked quite neat. Sher Surong looked at the prescription she wrote, and a hint of surprise flashed to her eyes. As she finished writing the last medicine, her surprise turned into excitement. Tan Hongmei and the others were all very surprised, as it was a rare occasion to see Sher Surong so excited. Lin Wanshu prescribe? Why did she react like this? However, due to her authority, they did not dare to ask on the spot, but planned to ask Lin Wanshu quietly in private. Ma Jinhua came in with a painful look on her face and felt much more relaxed after leaving. Holding the prescription, she had a happy expression on her face. Thank you, doctor. It was all my fault the day before yesterday. I didn't recognize the real man and spoke nonsense. As she spoke, she slapped herself on the mouth. Lin Wanshu hurriedly stopped him. Don't feel guilty, auntie. Go back and follow the doctor's advice. Remember not to use folk remedies indiscriminately. Hearing this, Ma Jinhua smiled awkwardly.
He.
I don't dare. I don't dare anymore. Who had caught and skinned a toad for his mother didn't dare to say a word. He just hoped that Lin Wanshu wouldn't notice him. After all, such a thing is really too embarrassing. Getting the prescription, the two left quickly. Sher Surong looked Lin Wanshu up and down, and the more she looked, the more she felt that she looked familiar. Although she had some doubts in her heart, she didn't say anything as there were so many people around. After Ma Jinhua and her son left, Lin Wanshu saw a lot of patients that day. There are men and women, young and old, and their illnesses are of various kinds. Lin Wanshu was a little surprised. I think they just formed a group to gain experience for themselves. Otherwise, how could there be so many different cases in one day? But this is a good thing for her, and Lin Wanshu will naturally not miss the good opportunity to gain experience. Every time after seeing a patient, she would habitually write a diary. Not to mention the other 4 people. They didn't dare to blink the whole time, just listened carefully to Lin Wanshu's words and took notes. Before I knew it, it was time to get off work. However, Sher Surong did not leave, and the others did not dare to leave either. In the end, it was Sher Surong who told the others to leave first. Tan Hongmei originally wanted to invite Lin Wanshu to dinner and ask her a few questions. Seeing this, I had no choice but to leave. After everyone else left, Sher Surong looked at Lin Wanshu with a complicated expression. Comrade Wanshu, may I ask you a question? Of course, teacher. Sher Surong carefully examined her features again, paused, and then asked, Is your grandfather called Tao Qiming? Lin Wanshu thought that she kept her to talk about today's medical consultation, but she didn't expect that she would actually ask about her grandfather. She couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Teacher, how do you know my grandpa? Hearing that she was really Tao Qiming's granddaughter, Sher Surong became even more excited. Grabbing Lin Wanshu's hand, she asked anxiously, Where is your grandpa? Where is he now? Seeing her reaction, how could Lin Wanshu not know that this was another old acquaintance of her grandfather? However, when she thought of the old man who left early and only left her with his name, her eyes couldn't help but become sore. Said somewhat dejectedly, He has been gone for 20 years. Hearing this, Sher Surong, who was originally very excited, was stunned on the spot. It took her a long while before she seemed to realize what she meant.
How?
How could this happen? Uncle Tao is obviously very powerful. He is proficient in medicine and is also good at boxing. Although they lost contact due to the war, Sher Surong was convinced that nothing would happen to him. Sher Surong murmured to herself, her eyes turning red without her knowing when. Lin Wanshu took out a handkerchief and wiped her tears. Teacher, don't be sad. My grandfather died peacefully. In that era, it was considered a blessing to survive the war of resistance and not die at the hands of the enemy. When the soft handkerchief wiped her cheek, Sher Surong suddenly came back to her senses. Looking at the beautiful and charming female comrade in front of her, she felt mixed emotions. I should have thought of it earlier. You look a bit like my aunt, especially her picturesque eyebrows and eyes, which amazed her throughout her girlhood. After hearing him talk about the past, Lin Wanshu realized that her grandfather was an old acquaintance of Mr. and Mrs. Shi. A young girl, Shi Surong showed amazing medical talent. Grandpa decided to teach her medical skills. However, those years were too turbulent. After only teaching for a few years, the two families were lost in the war. Shi Surong has been practicing medicine for more than 10 years and has traveled to many places, but she has never seen the prescription prescribed by Tao Qiming, except herself. However, because traditional Chinese medicine has been suppressed in recent years, she dared not use those prescriptions again, until she saw Lin Wanshu writing down stroke by stroke the prescription for treating liver cirrhosis that she remembered. Shi Surong asked tentatively. Unexpectedly, she was really the descendant of an old friend. Taking a deep breath, Shi Surong reached out and held Lin Wanshu's hand again, with an embarrassed look on her face. Child, I was a little harsh on you a few days ago. You won't blame me, right? It was rare to see her so gentle, and Lin Wanshu was a little flattered. How could that be? I know the teacher is doing this for our own good. I already knew before I started studying medicine that this road is very difficult, and there is no room for fooling around. Hearing this, Shi Surong's face was full of relief. Okay. I really didn't make a mistake about you. You are a good child. From now on, call me Aunt Rong in private. Your mother and I are sisters. Lin Wanshu shouted in response. Aunt Rong. Hey, good boy. Shi Surong patted her hands again, the smile on her face never disappearing. Then, without giving Lin Wanshu a chance to refuse, she took her to the window of the chief physician in the cafeteria to get her meal. When others saw the two of them being as close as mother and daughter, they almost dropped their jaws. I really envy Wanshu for being favored by the teacher. Chun Jiji supported her chin with her hand, looking at the two people who were chatting happily in the distance. The envy in her eyes was about to overflow. It's no use to be envious. What strength do they have? What strength do we have? Others are already working in the hospital, but they are still studying. There is no point in comparison. We can only focus on pursuing. That's true. Chun Jiji sighed, and then turned her anger into strength. I'm full. I'm going back to memorize the lessons. Strive to be able to do clinical internship as soon as possible and get a smile from Shi Surong. The others also quickened their eating SPED. Are you kidding? Everyone else is working so hard. If they don't work hard, are they going to be eliminated? In this way, a group of students began to study again. Lin Wanshu was also not idle. In addition to seeing patients and writing notes every day, Shi Surong also assigned her extra tasks. Even when performing surgery, she was brought along to watch. Others were so envious that they worked harder to study. In addition to her busy work at the hospital, Lin Wanshu would go back home at night and stay in the space to continue conducting a large number of experiments on the ointment. Fortunately, no adverse reactions have occurred in the trials of the ointment so far. After another half a year, it will be ready for clinical trials. In this way, Lin Wanshu started her busy work life in the hospital. She was so busy that it was soon the beginning of November. The weather gradually began to get colder. It was the weekend, and when I got off work, it was not yet 6 o'clock, but it seemed very late. Without delay, Lin Wanshu packed her things and prepared to go back home. Qin Yan brought Xiao Miao Miao to see her once last week, but Lin Wanshu felt that the weather was cold and she didn't want to let the baby run back and forth, so she didn't let them come. She had space, self-defense weapons, and the self-defense skills taught by Qin Yan himself. There was nothing to be afraid of in the distance from the hospital to the station. Lin Wanshu finally persuaded Qin Yan to go home on her own after much persuasion. However, Qin Yan was still worried, so he asked her to come back with a companion. Lin Wanshu made an appointment with Meng Yuanshuang, and it happened that she had to go back to Lan County every week. Afraid that Meng Yuanshuang would have to wait too long, Lin Wanshu quickly packed her things. Just as I finished packing my things and was about to get up and take off my white coat, I heard a familiar voice coming from outside the door. Is Director Shi here? Lin Wanshu turned her head and looked. If the person at the door wasn't Qi Honglian, who else could it be? Qi Honglian saw the person in the white coat and mask at first glance. She didn't recognize it as Lin Wanshu, but she felt that she looked familiar, so she smiled and asked, "Excuse me, isn't Director Shi in there?" Lin Wanshu pulled down her mask and said to her, "Director Shi is not seeing patients today." Seeing that it was Lin Wanshu, Chi Honglian's eyes widened and her voice became a little sharp. "Lin Wanshu, why are you here?" Hearing this, Lin Wanshu said with some amusement, "Why can't I be here?" Chi Honglian looked up and down at her white coat in disbelief. "This is a military hospital, not a disaster area. How did you get in?" When she heard her mention the disaster area, Lin Wanshu remembered the medicine powder she had added, and her expression suddenly turned cold. "I am an intern here. Is there any problem with seeing patients here?" But Chi Honglian seemed to have heard something ridiculous.
Impossible.
"Someone must have let you in. What qualifications do you have to see a doctor here?" Just at this moment, Shi Surong passed by the clinic. Seeing that Lin Wanshu had not returned yet, she was about to ask what was going on when she heard a surprised voice. "Director Shi, it's great that you're here." When Chi Honglian saw Shi Surong, how could he have time to question Lin Wanshu? Seeing the overly enthusiastic strange girl in front of her, a trace of doubt flashed across Shi Surong's face.
Who are you?
Chi Honglian reached out and held Shi Surong's hand in a very familiar manner. "Director Shi, I also graduated from Beijing University. I heard that you are working here, so I came to visit you specially." Chi Honglian did not come empty-handed. There was a bag at his feet, and no one knew what was inside. Shi Surong almost couldn't help but frown at this boundless enthusiasm. She calmly withdrew her hand and spoke softly. "So, he's an alumnus." After saying that, she turned to Lin Wanshu, who was standing beside her, and said, "You should go back first, in case it gets dark and you can't see. I want to chat with this young comrade for a while." Lin Wanshu had exactly this idea. "Then I'll go back first and come back tomorrow." As she spoke, Lin Wanshu looked at Chi Honglian meaningfully, then took off her white coat and hung it behind the door, then went out carrying her bag. Chi Honglian looked at Lin Wanshu's back and couldn't help but frowning, with an inexplicable bad feeling in his heart. "Director Shi, why is Comrade Lin Wanshu here to see patients?" "As far as I know, she only has a junior high school education." A person with only junior high school education, who luckily learned some medical prescriptions, what diseases can she treat? Her hostility was so strong. How could Shi Surong not feel it? However, she did not expose it, but said lightly, she was recommended by the team. Shi Surong didn't say anything else. But Chi Honglian immediately felt that Lin Wanshu must have used some means to get in through the back door to get the recommendation of the group. Otherwise, why didn't Shi Surong want to say more about her? Obviously, he also had some opinions about Lin Wanshu's behavior. Thinking of this, she put on an expression that showed she felt sorry for Shi Surong and said, "I think our military hospital is a sacred place. It is extremely disrespectful for you to have someone with such low education to work in the same department as you. I'm sure you, Director Shi, are in a difficult situation, right?" Chi Honglian thought that he had applied the eye drops quite well. It not only points out the fact that Lin Wanshu has low cultural level, but also praises Shi Surong's status and ability to a high level. If it were someone who really had a grudge against Lin Wanshu, they would definitely get closer to her because of these words. But to Shi Surong, Lin Wanshu was not only the daughter of an old acquaintance of hers, but also the granddaughter of her half-master and now her own apprentice. Favorite student was belittled in front of her, which was a result of her good upbringing. Taking a deep breath, she suppressed her anger and said, "Since Comrade Wanshu can sit here and see patients, it means that she has passed the hospital's professional assessment and has the ability to see patients. What do you want to talk to me about?" Unexpectedly, the eye drops did not bring about the desired result, and the purpose of his trip was also disrupted. Chi Honglian's face suddenly showed some embarrassment. However, despite the embarrassment, she still said shamelessly, "I was recommended by Director Liang Daocheng. He should have told you about it, right?" Liang Daocheng is the attending physician of the Peking University Hospital and also a graduate of Peking University. "I just called Shi Surong a few days ago." Thinking of what he said to her, a hint of sarcasm flashed in Shi Surong's eyes. "So it's you." Seeing that she knew who she was, Chi Honglian's eyes lit up. Yes, that's me.
I'm Chi Honglan.
She came here was naturally to get a back door from Shi Serong and see if she could be transferred to Wen City. After all, how can a small clinic in the army be compared with a military hospital? And here you have more chances to meet more powerful officers. It's not like in Lan County, where there are only little soldiers. Director Shi, this is a little specialty I brought from Beijing. You've been away from home for so long, you must be missing Beijing. As Chi Honglian spoke, he picked up the bag at his feet and handed it over. Shi Serong felt more and more ironic when she saw Chi Honglian's fawning smile. He had no intention of taking the bag. He looked her up and down, then she sneered and said, Comrade Chi, didn't Comrade Liang tell you? I have already told him clearly that as long as you can pass the assessment and the team agrees, you can be transferred here. As for the specialty, I'm sorry, this makes it a bit difficult for me, so I won't accept it. After saying that, she left without looking back. And that word, difficulty, was like a slap in the face to Chi Honglian. What does she mean? Is he mocking himself for not having the ability and having to take the back door? Chi Honglian's face turned pale and blue. Finally, she stamped her feet and left angrily. Chi Honglian did not return to the army. After leaving the hospital, she walked towards a solemn gate. The gate seemed to be very familiar with her and let her in without checking. On the other side, when Lin Wanshu returned to the family compound, it was already completely dark. Not only was it pitch dark, it was also freezing cold. This time Qin Yan did not bring Xiao Miao Miao to pick her up. The first thing Lin Wanshu did when she returned to the family compound was to go to Ji Hualan's house to pick up the baby. However, there were only 3 little ones playing in the house from the Shin family, and Shin Shuwen and Ji Hualan were not at home. After asking, I found out that Tang Qian and Wang Guogang had a quarrel, and the couple went over to mediate. Happened to be passing by outside, and when she saw Lin Wanshu, she called out, Wanshu, you're back? Yeah, I just came back. Where are you going? Her house is not in this direction. I went to see Tang Qian. I heard they had a big fight, and they were going to get a divorce. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu also lost her composure. Ian, take Miao Miao home first. I'll go take a look. If it were someone else, she might not care about this matter, but Tang Qian had such a close relationship with her, so Lin Wanshu naturally had to go over to see what was going on. But when Xiao Miao Miao finally saw her mother, she hugged her thighs and wouldn't let go, refusing to let her father hold her at all. There was no other choice. Lin Wanshu could only take him along. Let Qin Yan take care of it later. The group hurried towards Tang Qian's house. As I approached, I saw a lot of people gathered outside the yard from afar. And from inside the room came Wang Guogong's angry voice. Go back to your Tang family. I can't afford to support you. A bottomless pit. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but gasp. Wang Guogang seriously wants to divorce Tang Qian. After hearing this, and he grabbed Wang Guogang and advised, Guogang, if you have something to say, please talk it over. What's the problem? Why do you want to send people back to the Tang family? Tang Qian didn't say anything, just lowered her head and kept wiping her tears. Wang Guogong's chest heaved. Obviously, he was very angry. Ask her what good things she has done? Ji Hualan was comforting Tang Qian at the moment. After hearing this, she also advised, no matter how much she is not, she is still the mother of your 2 children. For the sake of the children, you should talk to her nicely, and don't say those hurtful words. Hearing this, Wang Guogang laughed, his face full of grief and indignation. Sister-in-law, is it me, who doesn't want to live a good life with her? I really can't live like this anymore. For 3 whole years, she has taken away all the money in the family and used it to support her brother. Look at what clothes my son and daughter are wearing. I only make 70 yuan a month, and the clothes they wear are patched. How can I live with her like this? Hearing this, everyone present fell silent. They all had heard something about Tang Qian's family affairs. I heard that her father broke his leg and couldn't work, so he could only wait for food at home. Her brother was taking advantage of the old man and asking Tang Qian to send money here and there endlessly. Once she stopped giving money, her father would end up going hungry for 9 meals in 3 days. From Tang Qian's perspective, She really couldn't bear to watch her old father suffer. But how unfair is such a subsidy to Wang Guogang? He worked hard and risked his life on the front line, but in the end, he was just making things difficult for others who wouldn't feel aggrieved. Isn't this a complete sucker? After understanding the whole story, Lin Wanshu looked at the couple, one angry and the other crying, and suddenly felt that she could not help at all. How does she persuade? Should I persuade Tang Qian not to meddle in her mother's family affairs, or persuade Wang Guogang to stop caring and move on? Isn't this asking too much? Tang Qian's eyes were swollen from crying, and her clothes were wet. A moment of silence, she said with a choked voice, "Guogang, I am sorry for you. I will go back to the Tang family tomorrow." Endless subsidies she had to give to her parents' home. But on one side there is a young child who needs her care, and on the other side there is an injured father. Tang Qian was in a dilemma, and in a daze, she gave all the money to her good-for-nothing brother. It's time to make a decision about this mess. She went back to take care of her father personally. When she had no money, she would go to the fields to earn work points, and she was able to make ends meet. But everyone who heard this fell silent again. If Tang Qian goes back to take care of her father, can her and her husband's marriage continue? After all, her father is not even 60 years old yet, and this care might last for more than 10 or 20 years. When they thought of this, everyone couldn't help but feel sad for this family. Ji Hualan sighed deeply and said, "It's better to go back and arrange your family affairs first. Don't let these things affect your relationship. If it really doesn't work, ask the police to go. Your brother's behavior is definitely not okay." When talking about this, Tang Qian became even sadder. She covered her eyes with both hands and tears flowed nonstop. "I've looked for him.
Tang Ming is a bad guy.
He promised the police, but once they left, he still did what he was supposed to do. He's my dad. How can I ignore him?" Was in the most pain. Tang Qian also thought about jumping into the river and dying. But she still has children. They are so young. What will happen to them without their mother? Hearing her say this, everyone couldn't help but clench their teeth. What kind of beast is this? She even used her own father as a bargaining chip to force her sister to give her money, without caring whether her sister could make a living. Wang Guogang felt very uncomfortable when he saw his daughter-in-law crying in Ji Hualan's arms, feeling aggrieved and desperate. The two children also pulled Tang Qian's clothes from the left and right, crying loudly. "Mom, please don't leave. What will we do if you leave? Mom, don't go back to Grandpa's house. Your uncle will beat you." Wang Guogang's hands clenched into fists that made crackling sounds. She had never told him these. "That jerk is not a human being at all. I'll go back to the Tang family with you and bring your father to the army. If you don't want to support your jerk brother, I'll support him for you. Don't send him a penny from now on." Hearing this, Tang Qian was stunned. Her eyes were still red as she looked at the man in front of her, who was like a mountain. Suddenly, her vision became blurred again. "Thank you.
Guogang.
Thank you. I will work like a servant to repay you in the future." Hearing this, Wang Guogang was speechless. "I don't need you to work like a servant for me. Just draw a line between yourself and your jerk brother. If I find out you're sending him money again, we'll be done for."
Tan Kian not that si pit ten.
Strike it. Definitely strike it. I can even put it in the newspaper. When I bring my dad here, I'll pretend that he doesn't exist in this world. Tang Qian had been heartbroken by him. If her father hadn't been there, she wouldn't want to see him again in her life. Seeing that she was still clear-headed, Wang Guogang's expression finally eased. The others also breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone admired Wang Guogang's manly behavior. Originally, since he had a brother-in-law, it was not his responsibility to support his father-in-law, but he still took it on. How much courage does this require? Tang Qian felt even more grateful and guilty. Just as she said, she only regretted that she could not work like a servant to repay him. When the people present saw that the two had stopped arguing, they gave them a few more words of advice, asking them to communicate properly if they had anything to say and not to quarrel anymore, and then they left one after another. Yu Fangfang was very happy to see Lin Wanshu coming back. On the way back, he pulled her and talked nonstop. Since Ji Hualan became the director of the parent-teacher committee, she has had more things to do. Every day she is either dealing with this or that matter. She had just finished persuading Tang Qian and her husband, and she felt extremely exhausted. Walked listlessly, leaning against Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu said, "I'll give you a massage later to loosen up your muscles." Hearing this, Ji Hualan's eyes lit up. "That's great. It would be better if you could prescribe some more medicine for me. I feel so weak." Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "How can you take medicine randomly? Let me teach you how to make medicinal food, which can also nourish your body." Upon hearing this, the other military wives also became excited. "Wanshu, you can't be partial and only teach Hualan and not me. I also feel that I need to make up for it." The military wives all said this half-jokingly. Lin Wanshu naturally did not refuse. After all, Xiao Miaomiao has been relying on these military wives to take care of her these days. Her not to express any opinion. "I'll take your pulses and see what kind of medicinal food you need to prepare." Seeing that she wanted to prescribe a medicinal diet for each person, the military wives couldn't help but cheer. "I feel like I got a great bargain." The group soon arrived at Lin Wanshu's home again. Knowing that she hadn't eaten yet, the military wives didn't hesitate. While Lin Wanshu was taking her pulse, they helped her cook. It was mainly Ji Hualan who did the cooking, while Yu Fangfang kept the fire. Yu Fangfang has now mastered the skill of making fire, so Ji Hualan is no longer afraid that she will set the kitchen on fire. The two of them were cooking in the kitchen, while Lin Wanshu brought the other military wives to the reception room and took their pulses. In those days, there was a lack of nutrition, the work was very intense on weekdays, and most people did not get enough rest during the confinement period, so the military wives all had some minor health problems to a greater or a lesser extent. Lin Wanshu would issue invoices to them based on their individual circumstances. Although some of the problems are the same, they may be mild or severe, so the dosage of the medicine she prescribes will naturally be different. She has all these medicines here. Lin Wanshu didn't charge them any money, but just asked them to pick similar herbs for her whenever they saw them in the mountains. The main reason is that everyone is so familiar with each other that if we really want to collect money, we can only get a few cents, not to mention that charging money is not against the rules. It would be better to let them help collect some herbs on a daily basis. With more herbs, it would be easier for Lin Wanshu to prepare prescriptions and conduct experiments. The wives of the soldiers were deeply moved because they received free medical treatment and prescription medicine for them. Everyone swore in their hearts that they would help Lin Wanshu take good care of her little Miao Miao in the future. Xiao Miao Miao, who was being talked about, sneezed loudly. "Sister Xiao, do you have a cold?" As Feng Jianqi spoke, he stretched out his little paws and wanted to touch Xiao Miao Miao's forehead. But before he could touch it, Shen Xiai slapped it away. "Your hands are dirty." Hearing this, Feng Jianqi raised his hands high and put them under the light. But he looked left and right and couldn't find any dirt on his hands. "Shen Xiai, you lied to me. My hands are not dirty at all." Feng Jianqi glared at Shen Xiai angrily. Shen Xiai had just taken his hand from Xiao Miao Miao's forehead, and upon hearing this, he turned to Feng Jianqi and said, "I just checked. She doesn't have a fever." Hearing that his sister did not have a fever, Feng Jianqi became happy again. How could he remember whether he had been deceived by Shen Xiai again? Seeing that her son was cheated again, Yu Fangfang was speechless. "Hualan, how did you teach your son? Why is he so sinister?" Yu Fangfang was convinced that he was as calm and composed as an adult at such a young age. "Do you think I can raise a child like him? She and Shen Yu combined are not as cunning as he is. Only Lao Shen can be compared with him." Hearing this, Yu Fangfang sighed with regret. Why did she give birth to such a stupid kid? His father is not like him. After a while, 2 military wives came out with medicine. Because it is a medicinal food, not much medicine is used, just a small bag for each person. Lin Wanshu said it can be cooked many times. The 2 of them took over Ji Hualan and Yu Fangfang's work and asked them to ask Lin Wanshu for prescription medicine. Although Lin Wanshu didn't take their money, the military wives were not the kind of people who would take advantage of others. If she doesn't charge them, they will definitely make up for it somewhere else. How can she let others suffer the loss? Only when there is give and take can the relationship last long. Outside the courtyard, Shin Shuwen looked at the room full of military wives chatting and laughing and couldn't help but pat his brother on the shoulder and console him. Your wife is very popular. You have to get used to it. Qin Yan, he say. I can only wait until they say they have had a great time before returning his wife to him. Fortunately, the military wives are not without sense of propriety. Prescribing the medicine and making dinner, they all left one after another. Before leaving, he even helped Xiao Miao Miao take a bath. The main point is to be open and not shy. However, Qin Yan went out for field training a few days ago, and the workload was heavy, so Xiao Miao Miao was mostly taken care of by the military wives. From picking them up to feeding them and bathing and dressing them, they're taken care of very well. Lin Wanshu carried the bathed Xiao Miao Miao and sent the military wives to the door. Go back, eat early and rest early, you are tired too. Ji Hualan held onto the reluctant Xin Yu and waved to Lin Wanshu. Mom, can't my sister come to our house today? Xin Yu still didn't give up. It turned out that Qin Yan and Shin Shuwen didn't come back a few days ago, and Ji Hualan took Xiao Miao Miao to sleep at night. Of course not. Your Aunt Wanshu is back, and my sister wants to sleep with Mom. Say, oh, reluctantly before following his mother. Shin Si didn't say anything. He just waved politely to his sister and turned away. Ji Hualan was a little surprised and felt that her eldest son was a little abnormal. But she didn't think much about it, thinking that children are just so changeable. Qin Yan, who was standing behind him, saw that the boy had become more sensible, and the guard in his eyes was finally reduced a little. Seeing off the military wives, the family of 3 went back to eat. Today, because of Tang Qian's matter, and it's already 9 o'clock in the evening. Lin Wanshu couldn't help feeling sad when she saw Xiao Miao Miao's winter clothes, which were obviously too short. The little guy has grown a little bit, and the winter clothes that seemed quite long last year are no longer suitable. After dinner, Lin Wanshu did not rest. She took out a piece of cloth and cut the material for Xiao Miao Miao, planning to make her a new dress tomorrow. In her previous life, she never thought that she could have a child. Although there were children's clothes in the space, the categories were not complete, and the existing winter clothes were not suitable for Xiao Miao Miao in size. They were either too big or too small. Fortunately, there are plenty of fabrics, cotton and down. Lin Wanshu planned to make a cotton coat and a lighter down jacket for the little one. Before going to the hospital, she knitted several sweaters for her, so she had no shortage of base clothes. Xiao Miao Miao was a little sleepy, but she didn't want to sleep, so she watched her mother cut cloth. Seeing her nodding her head, Lin Wanshu simply carried her on her back. Maybe because she was next to her mother, Xiao Miao Miao fell asleep quickly. Lin Wanshu felt even more upset. After all, the child still needed its mother. Once a week is not enough. Lin Wanshu was thinking whether there was a better way to allow her to spend more time with Xiao Miao Miao. Before she could think it through, Qin Yan came back from outside with a cold vapor on his body. Lin Wanshu was a little surprised. It's this weather. Why are you still taking a cold shower? Qin Yan, I'm used to it. It's not that cold. Lin Wanshu glanced at her own hands, which had already become somewhat cold, and could not help but remain silent. My man's physique is still too strong. It's already late. Go to bed early and cut your hair tomorrow. Qin Yan saw that she was carrying Xiao Miao Miao on her back, and fearing that she might be tired, he reached out to help her untie it. Careful. Lin Wanshu was afraid that Xiao Miao Miao would wake up if she left, so she reached out to hold her. But the little guy didn't react at all. He found a comfortable position in his father's arms and slept soundly. Lin Wanshu. Well, it was a wrong payment after all. The next day, Lin Wanshu heard from the military wives that Tang Qian had gone back to her hometown with her husband. Lin Wanshu listened and didn't care because she was short on time and was busy making clothes for her baby. After cutting off the fabric that was not cut yesterday, she began to sew clothes. Even though she didn't have a sewing machine, she was already very good at sewing clothes. After getting one, she was even faster. The main time-consuming part of making clothes is making the pattern. After cutting, sewing does not take much time. But for Lin Wanshu, making a pattern is not a problem at all. Whatever style she wants to make, She just goes through it in her mind and can draw it directly. Of the cloth back twice. Place it on the sewing machine, push it with your hands and step on it with your feet, and neat lines will appear on the cloth with the sound of da-da-da. And little Meow Meow, who was still clinging to her last night, went to play with the children in the staff compound after breakfast early in the morning. Qin Yan had just finished breakfast and went out. The whole house was so quiet that the only sound was the sewing machine. Lin Wanshu was sewing clothes when she suddenly heard someone shouting outside. Is Comrade Wanshu here? It's He Wenju. What did she come to see me for? Lin Wanshu felt a little strange, but she still put down her clothes and walked out. I'm here, sister-in-law He. Why are you here? He Wenju was holding a bag in her hand and smiled a little embarrassedly. I heard that you have a sewing machine at home, so I wanted to stop by and came here shamelessly. Do you want to use your sewing machine now? It turned out that he wanted to borrow a sewing machine. Ever since He Wenju became a different person, Lin Wanshu would greet her when they met in the staff quarters. Although it's not very warm, at least we are not strangers like before. When someone came to borrow a sewing machine, she naturally agreed. I'm sewing right now, but I'm going to stuff the cotton in now, so you can use it first if you want to close the legs. As she said this, she invited the person into the house. Thank you in advance, Comrade Wanshu. He Wenju's hair was still neatly tied on her head. At first glance, she seemed no different from before, but she looked indescribably refined and elegant. Lin Wanshu took the clothes off the sewing machine and asked her to sit down. He Wenju thanked her politely again and sat down lightly on the stool. She gave people these days, even when she was sewing clothes, her sitting posture was dignified and elegant. The clothes she was holding seemed to be made for Qiu Tingting. The color looks very bright and the style is very classic. It is a style that will not go out of style in a dozen years. He Wenju didn't seem to know how to use this sewing machine. Lin Wanshu was about to give her some advice, but she saw her tinkering with it for a while and soon she was able to use it flexibly. Lin Wanshu. Tingting and I are going back to Ning City next week. It should be snowing there. I'm afraid she'll be cold when she goes back, so I thought of making her 2 sets of clothes first. It saves me from having to go back there and buy it again, which would be such a pain. He Wenju explained to Lin Wanshu while sewing clothes. The family compound already knew that she was going back to Ning City. But the military wives all thought that she now had a split personality, so she should stay here for examination and not go back until she recovered. Who would have thought that she would be leaving next week? But this had nothing to do with her, so Lin Wanshu just chatted with her politely. He Wenju didn't mind and continued to chat with her while sewing clothes. As we were chatting, I don't know how we ended up talking about the War of Resistance. You said, the Japanese have such powerful ships and artillery. How can they surrender just like that? Although her soul has always existed in her body, He Wenju did not study seriously. Although she graduated from junior high school, she did not know many things in history. Seeing that she didn't seem to be asking casually, Lin Wanshu had an idea. However, she did not dare to comment on history and only reviewed some important battles for her. Especially when talking about the classic battle of 4 crossings of the Qishui River, He Wenju's eyes lit up. But after the excitement, her face showed a hint of loneliness again. What a shame. She was unable to witness such a great battle. She didn't even survive the full-scale War of Resistance and died early. What a pity. Lin Wanshu did not miss the regret in her eyes. Combined with her behavior and manners that sounded like that of a young lady from an aristocratic family, she had an inexplicable suspicion in her heart. He Wenju shook his head and then half-jokingly said, "It's a pity that I wasn't born 20 years earlier, otherwise I could have killed a few devils myself." This was probably the biggest regret in her previous life. Fortunately, the information was delivered in time, so her death was not in vain. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's suspicions were confirmed a little more. In the turbulent times, there were many awakened comrades who, despite their privileged backgrounds, threw themselves into the War of Resistance without hesitation. Of the first generation of pilots, who were almost wiped out came from prominent families. If the He Wenju in front of him is really like what he thought, then she deserves his admiration. However, Lin Wanshu did not try to test anything but encouraged, living in this era also brings great responsibilities. The country has just been established, and there is a lot of work to be done. There are many places that need our construction. No one knew what struck Hyunju about these words. She felt a little regretful at first, but she quickly cheered up. Comrade Won-shu, you are right. Building the country is equally important. They won. She was lucky enough to witness it all with her memory. But many of her companions fell before they could see the day of victory. Hyunju accidentally got her body back, but she was not sure whether the Hyunju in her body would take control of her body again. Therefore, these days, she just lived her life taking things as they came, as if she was just a lonely soul wandering outside this world and had no deep feelings for this world. At this moment, after hearing Lin Won-shu talk about their great war of resistance, Hyunju's wandering soul seemed to finally land, and the blood in her body began to burn again. Only by building a new China can we live up to our original intention of risking our lives. Thank you, Comrade Won-shu.
Hyunju said solemnly.
Looking at her ever-changing expression, Lin Won-shu was already about 70% certain that the person in front of her might be a senior from the anti-Japanese war era. I don't know how she ended up here. The original Hyunju, go? If Sun Haido's identity wasn't so sensitive, Lin Won-shu really wanted to call him and ask what was going on. Hyunju just came over to sew the feet, which didn't take much time at all. She had finished sewing it in a short while. However, after sewing, she did not leave immediately, but took out a box from the bag. Comrade Won-shu, I have offended you in the past. Fortunately, you did not hold it against me. This is a bookmark I made by myself. It is not a valuable item. I hope you don't mind it. If it was something valuable, Lin Won-shu would definitely not accept it. But the bookmark she gave me was one she had made herself, and it would be ugly if I refused it. Lin Won-shu took the box she handed over with both hands and joked, Sister He, did you plan a spy around me? Otherwise, how would you know that I was missing a bookmark? This joke suddenly brought the two closer together. Hyunju urged her to open the box. See if you like it? Hearing this, Lin Won-shu did not refuse and opened the box carefully. When the box was opened, there was a copper lotus inside. The lotus was carved from a thin copper coin, and there was a dark green tassel hanging under the lotus stem, which looked very delicate. Lin Won-shu took it in her hand and started playing with it with a look of surprise. It's so beautiful, Sister He. Your hands are so dexterous, aren't they? Seeing that she really liked him, Hyunju was also happy. As long as you like it, I'll make you some other styles later. Hearing this, Lin Won-shu smiled so hard that her eyes curved. Don't kid me, I'll take it seriously. After the exchange just now, the two of them became more and more friendly, without realizing it. Although she didn't know what the situation was with that Hyunju, Lin Won-shu inexplicably felt that the person in front of her didn't seem like someone who would steal someone else's body, or rather, she should not bother to do such a thing. After all, even without knowing whether he would win or not, he still threw himself into the revolution without hesitation. How could such a person do something like stealing someone's body? After Hyunju gave the gifts, she left in a good mood. She put the sewn clothes into a bag, and, because they were winter clothes, the bag was bulging. Whenever she met other military wives along the way, she would greet them one by one with a gentle smile. There was no sign that there was a soul roaring in anger inside her. How could you connect a sewing machine to that fox? And give her a bookmark? You've completely embarrassed me. When she thought about how she actually lowered herself to apologize to Lin Won-shu, Hyunju couldn't help but go crazy. How could she apologize to that woman and give her something? If it weren't for that witch, how could I have quarreled with Cheo-young and ended up like this? But still no one responded to her roar. Hyunju returned home carrying the bag and ran into Cheo-tingting. Mom, where have you been? Although her mother has become much stricter recently, Cheo-tingting has become more dependent on her. Because she found that after she listened to her mother, her father stopped criticizing her recently. I even praised her several times. This made Cheo-tingting feel very proud. I made 2 sets of clothes for you. I just want to get them done. Take a look and see if they fit you. Heard that she had also made clothes for her, she couldn't help but cheer. Taking the bag from her mother's hand, She ran into the house happily. When I opened the bag, I found 2 coats inside, one in light pink and the other in apricot color. For children of this generation, as long as they have new clothes, it's enough.
Who cares what style they are?
Although these 2 coats look ordinary in style, the pink coat hoods have 2 cute ears. As for the apricot-colored one, there are 2 fluffy balls of yarn under the neckline. Looks so cute.
Thank you, Mom.
I love it so much. After putting on the new clothes, Chiu Tingting's face turned red, and she was obviously very excited. As long as you like it. Chiu Tingting was taking her turn to try on clothes, while He Wenju picked up a book and began to read it seriously. Chiu Tingting finally tried on enough clothes and asked curiously, "Mom, what book are you reading?" He Wenju replied, without even raising her head, "I'm looking at how wireless radios are made." Hearing this, Chiu Tingting's mouth almost opened into an O shape. She swallowed her saliva and asked in a somewhat dry voice, "Mom, you are not going to make a radio, are you?" He Wenju nodded. "Well, I'll give it a try." With a gulp, Chiu Tingting swallowed hard. That's a radio. More than 300 yuan each. It's more than 1 month's salary of her father. Chiu Tingting has always wanted to buy one, but her father said that there is a radio in the staff quarters and it would be a waste of money to buy it. How could she not be shocked when she heard that her mother was learning to make a radio? He Wenju ignored her and finished reading the last 2 pages of the book. She started tinkering with the things she had collected from the scrap yard these days. Chiu Tingting no longer cared whether the clothes were new or not. When she saw her mother making a radio, she squatted aside and watched with her eyes wide open. He kept asking some strange questions from time to time. He Wenju was not impatient and answered all the questions seriously. Seeing that she was so easy to talk to, Chiu Tingting asked tentatively, "Mom, can I help you?" When He Wenju heard this, she assigned the work to her without any hesitation. Chiu Tingting didn't expect her mother to actually agree. As she held the parts handed to her, her face became even redder. "Mom, I will do my best and will not let you down. This is a radio she personally helped make. If this really works, she will be able to walk around the staff quarters as she pleases. Others will surely envy her to death." Chiu Tingting, who was thinking this way, had no idea that she, who originally only wanted to rely on her father to show off her power, had now begun to be self-reliant and wanted to conquer others with her own abilities. "Okay, keep going, Mom believes in you." He Wenju was using a special liquid to clean the rusty and decayed panel. The rusty panel soon regained its metallic luster after her treatment. The pile of seemingly messy parts on the table were quickly assembled bit by bit in her hands. Chiu Tingting was not idle either. She completed all the tasks her mother asked her to do meticulously. After a while, thanks to the efforts of the mother and daughter, the radio soon took shape. Chiu Yong entered the room. He heard his daughter's exclamations coming from the room. He looked in through the window curiously and saw He Wenju assembling something seriously. The winter sun shone through the window and fell on her. The skin, which was still fairly fair, now had a bit more luster, and the fine hairs were clearly visible under the refraction of light. Her facial features are not particularly delicate, but at this moment, she makes people unable to take their eyes away. His presence was so strong, how could He Wenju not have noticed it? Seeing that he didn't come in, she had no choice but to greet him. "Captain Chiu, you're back? But the meal isn't ready yet, please wait a moment." I don't know what's going on, but ever since she became a different person, she likes to call him Captain Chiu. Chiu Yong tried to correct her, but it was useless, so in the end he had no choice but to let her do what she wanted. "It's okay. Go ahead and do your work. I'll go cook." Maybe because she was going back, they stopped arguing now. Although Chiu Yong can't cook, he can still help with cooking. He Wenju responded without looking up and continued to assemble the parts in his hands. I don't know how long it took, but a radio without a check was put together. When He Wenju plugged in the power, she heard a rustling sound. Chiu Tingting's eyes widened.
Mom,
it seems to be working. Please change the channel." He Wenju didn't let her wait long. She turned the rotary button at the top and started tuning the frequency. After twisting for a while, a faint sound came from the speaker. Hyunju twisted her head slowly again, and the rustling sound in the speaker disappeared, replaced by clear singing. Chiao Tingting jumped up with excitement. Mom, we succeeded. We really made a radio. Hearing the noise, Chiao Yong also walked from the kitchen into the room to see Hyunju singing in front of a pile of scrap metal. This is what you did. After looking at the scrap metal and then at Hyunju, he asked with a look of doubt on his face. Hyunju nodded. Well, I saw this book in the library a few days ago, and the scrapyard happened to have these obsolete parts, so I gave it a try. Hyunju died early, and the country didn't even have radio when he died. News dissemination depends entirely on newspapers. However, she had returned from studying abroad and was not unfamiliar with the radio. Heard that she could assemble a radio just by reading a book, he was stunned. After a while, the children who heard the noise also came to watch. Even Xiao Miao came to join in the fun. Shen Xiai didn't want to come, but his sister wanted to watch the fun, so he followed her. As soon as they entered the door, Xiao Miao saw the sister, who had grabbed her arm. Sense of crisis, she turned around immediately. However, it was seen by the sharp-eyed Chiao Tingting. Hey, wait a minute, sister. Shen Xiai frowned slightly and stood in front of Chiao Tingting with a bad look. What do you want to do with her? Do you want to apologize again? Seeing him, Chiao Tingting subconsciously took a step back, with a hint of fear on her face. I don't mean to bully her. Xiao Miao is probably braver because she has her brother to protect her. Grabbing her brother's clothes with one hand, she poked her little head out from behind him and looked curiously at the strange thing playing music in the room. When Chiao Tingting saw this, she said to Xiao Miao, Sister, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have bullied you. This is the radio that Mom and I built together just now. Do you want to see it? Remembering that her mother had apologized to the aunts with whom she had quarreled, she followed suit. When she saw Xiao Miao, she sincerely apologized. When the other children heard that this radio was made by her and Hyunju together, they couldn't help but let out a loud, wow. Chiao Tingting, how come you are so amazing? You can even assemble a radio? Chiao Tingting, you're not an engineer, are you? The children chattered. Chiao Tingting looked at the children who usually ignored her and now looked at her with admiration. She was so excited that her face turned red. It's not that great. I just help my mom. But even if I just help out, it is enough to make the children cry with envy. I want to build a radio, too. Chiao Tingting, can you teach us? I'll give you some candy. Was surrounded by a group of children, all of whom looked at her eagerly. I'll ask my mother. If she's willing to teach you, then you can come and learn. Hearing this, the children couldn't help but cheer. After Chiao Tingting finished speaking, she bent down and stretched out her hand to Xiao Miao. Do you want to watch the radio? Sister will take you. When Xiao Miao saw her friendly smile, she tilted her little head and finally slowly reached out her hand and put it in hers. Chiao Tingting couldn't help but smile with joy. Holding Xiao Miao's hand, I came to the radio where the music was playing. She pointed to the small parts on it. I screwed this on, and I put this together. Every time she said a word, the children exclaimed in admiration. However, Chiao Tingting did not become complacent this time, but instead shared her experience seriously with her friends. Hyunju looked at Chiao Tingting with a smile on her eyes, her face full of relief. After more than half a month of getting along, she finally realized that Chiao Tingting was not a bad person, but no one had taught her what was right and what was wrong before. Hyunju really not understand what is good for the child. Or, thinking about how Chiao Tingting grew up, Hyunju couldn't help but fall into deep thought. The woman whose mind was wandering somewhere unknown, his eyes full of inquiry. However, Hyunju seemed not to notice. She collected her thoughts, told the children that they could only look but not touch, and then went to the kitchen to cook. Chiao Yong, telling the older children to watch their younger siblings and not to touch the radio to avoid electric shock, he also followed them out of the room. In the kitchen, Hyunju was tying her apron. Her hands deftly tied a bow behind her back, revealing her slender waist. Chiao Yong's eyes paused, then he walked forward. I'll help you light the fire. He wanted to help, So He Wenju naturally wouldn't refuse and nodded politely. Then I'll trouble you, Captain Chiao. Chiao Yong. He wanted to say that they were husband and wife, and she didn't need to be so polite. But he also knew that it would be useless for him to say anything. In the end, he had to swallow his words, sit down by the stove, and help light the fire. He Wenju was picking and washing vegetables next to the water tank. She moved slowly but carefully and only finished washing the vegetables when the water in the pot was bubbling. After washing the vegetables, she didn't rush to fry them. Instead, he walked to the beam, stood on tiptoe, and tried to take down the basket hanging on the hook. And He Wenju hung it high up to prevent it from being eaten by mice. However, she was not very tall and could only barely reach it by standing on tiptoe. In the past, He Wenju always used a branch to support herself, but the branch was gone, so she could only use her bare hands today. She just held the basket and was about to take it down, but unexpectedly the basket became unexpectedly heavy. He Wenju was caught off guard and lost her ability to hold up the basket, causing her whole body to sway. Careful! Just when she thought the basket was going to fall, suddenly, her waist was tightened and her whole body was supported steadily, and the basket in her hand was also taken away. Sudden change scared He Wenju. She stepped back suddenly. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Chiao Yong looked at the wariness in her eyes, and his expression turned a little bad. Wenju, we are husband and wife. He Wenju. No one knows the relationship between them better than themselves. They are husband and wife, but from a spiritual perspective, she is not the one getting married. He Wenju couldn't convince herself to have further contact with him. This made her feel like a third party. But she can't just sit there and do nothing and bear the title of someone else's wife and not fulfill her husband's obligations. Therefore, He Wenju planned to return to Ning City, work in a factory, and then find an opportunity to file for divorce from him. Anyway, no one in the Chiao family likes the mother and daughter. Divorce shouldn't be difficult. This is also the reason why He Wenju has always kept her distance from Chiao Yong. She pursed her lips, not looking at his dark eyes, and said with a hint of self-mockery, I have a split personality, not amnesia. There is no need for Captain Chiao to remind us of our relationship. As she spoke, she reached out and took the basket. From it, add a ladle of boiling water to make warm water, and put the salted fish into the basin to soak. Seeing that she was still lukewarm, Chiao Yong couldn't help but feel discouraged. In the end, the two of them didn't say anything else, and the atmosphere became weird and awkward. He Wenju felt a little reluctant, but reality made her bury this reluctance deep in her heart. There is still a week until the midterm exam, and the transfer will not have such a big impact on Chiao Tingting by then. But this week seemed particularly long to He Wenju. Fortunately, ever since he and He Wenju had quarreled, the two of them had never slept in the same room again. And probably because he was very busy in the army, he seldom went back home during the day. This also made He Wenju feel a lot more comfortable. Just one more week, and she'd be out of here. He Wenju had beautiful thoughts, but in the following days, Chiao Yong went home early every day at noon, contrary to his usual behavior. Either help with this or help with that. Anyone who is not stupid can see that he seems to be trying to please others. He Wenju is not only not stupid, but also very smart. After she discovered something was wrong, she became more distant from him. In order to avoid spending too much time with him, she would even lock herself in the room to read whenever she had free time. These days she has collected a lot of good things at the scrapyard. I took Chiao Tingting to do all kinds of interesting experiments. Chiao Tingting now regards her mother as her idol. The sight of a pile of junk producing all sorts of wonderful reactions in her mother's hands. It was like a new world had opened up to her. Mom, I want to be as good as you in the future. Looking at the faint light bulb in front of her, Chiao Tingting's eyes lit up surprisingly. This is a simple generator she made by herself. He Wenju was holding a book in her hand. Hearing this, she smiled and encouraged him. Then you must study hard and not be lazy, okay? Chiao Tingting nodded heavily. She knew that her mother became so powerful because of her education. Therefore, without any need for He Wenju to urge her, Chiao Tingting took out the various experimental manuals written by her mother and immersed herself in doing small experiments. Immersed in the little experiment, He Wenju no longer had the idea of making her friends envious. She just wants to explore the mysteries of this world. To her, for a few words, He Wenju buried herself in her book again. She had already prepared the meal, and she also wanted to avoid having to share the kitchen with Chiao Yong because of cooking. His gaze was now too intense for her to ignore. Fortunately, she will be able to leave the family compound and return to Ning City tomorrow. He Wenju kept reading and didn't put down the book until it was dark. Chiao Tingting has gone to take a shower. She checked and found that everything was packed, so she felt relieved. Putting the book into one of the luggage bags, He Wenju took out a set of clothes and prepared to take a shower. After a while, Chiao Tingting came back. He Wenju asked her to go to bed first, and then went out in the dark. It was quiet outside. The man who she could meet no matter what she did a few days ago was nowhere to be seen today. He Wenju guessed that he might be on a mission and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. It's better that he is not here, so there won't be any trouble tomorrow. Perhaps because there was one less man in the family, He Wenju's tense nerves relaxed. A hot bath, she felt relaxed. I washed the clothes I had taken off and hung them up, then looked at the sky and estimated that it was already 9 o'clock. The whole yard was dark and nothing could be seen clearly. He Wenju groped her way towards the room. But the room was still dark. I guess Chiao Tingting turned off the light because she was afraid of the glare. She didn't think much about it and walked in. He had just stepped over the threshold when, the next second, he crashed into a wall of flesh. Chiao Yong also just returned home. Seeing that the room was dark but the door was not closed, he wanted to go in to see what was going on. But after taking a closer look, apart from my daughter, there was no sign of He Wenju. Chiao Yong was just about to go out to see where she had gone. Who would have thought that as soon as he reached the door, he would bump into the sweet and soft body of a woman. Smelling the faint fragrance, his hands seemed to have self-awareness, and he hugged the person directly.
You.
Let go. He Wenju didn't expect that he would hug her, and her heart was in her throat. She placed her hands on his chest and tried to break free from his embrace. But before she could push him away, the man's hand tightened a little more. You're avoiding me?
Why?
In the darkness, Chiao Yong's eyes were as dark as ink. He originally thought that she was angry because he asked her to return to Ning City. He had been planning to have a good talk with her these days, but she kept ignoring him. She even started hiding from him, since yesterday. At this time, she even resisted the slightest touch. When she heard the strange voice, afraid that angering him at this moment might cause some trouble, she tried to keep her voice calm. No, you think too much. She tried to push him again. I want to sleep. I have to take a bus tomorrow. If she didn't push him. This push made Chiao Yong so angry that he laughed. That's good. This with ambiguous meaning, he lifted up his hand, and in the next second, he lifted her up. He Wenju was almost scared to death. What do you want to do?
Put me down.
She struggled with her hands and feet, trying to get off him. But how could a weak woman like her resist a man who had been training for years? This little struggle didn't shake him at all. We are husband and wife. What do you think I should do? As he said that, he carried the person into another room. The most feared thing happened, and He Wenju felt like the sky was falling. Don't want. She was pressed on the bed. He Wenju cried. Call her pretentious or whatever. She simply couldn't convince herself to have a further relationship with him. Especially when there is still He Wenju in the body yelling and cursing. However, Chiao Yong seemed to be unable to hear anything. Originally, I just wanted to take her to another room to have a good talk, but when the two of us were alone together, everything changed. In the darkness, the woman's subtle fragrance seemed particularly alluring. Chiao Yong was very familiar with this faint fragrance, and his mind went blank with excitement. Without hesitation, he lowered his head and kissed her red lips. He Wenju didn't expect that he would actually kiss her. The moment the strong masculine scent kissed her, a strange picture suddenly flashed through her mind. But before she could figure out what it was, she was interrupted by a sharp sound from her body. Shame on you. Fox, how can you even steal other people's men? Go away. Hyunju almost went crazy when she saw Cheo-young kissing her.
How could he?
However, Hyunju, who was being kissed, felt a storm in her heart. What's going on? Why does she have these memories? The huge shock made Hyunju feel dazed. Without warning, Hyunju once again took control of his body. Cheo-young was kissing someone when suddenly, the faint fragrance belonging to her disappeared inexplicably. Realizing something was wrong, he subconsciously let go of the person. However, the woman who had been resisting just now held him tightly. Don't go. Cheo-young looked at Hyunju, who kept trying to get into his arms, and he inexplicably had a bad feeling in his heart. Wonju? He called out tentatively, his voice trembling in a way that he wasn't even aware of. Hyunju's face almost twisted when she saw that he didn't even hug her.
Why?
Why are you always so cold to me? And that woman had only been with him for less than 20 days, but he was already completely bewitched by her. Hearing this hysterical voice, Cheo-young's guess was confirmed, and his heart suddenly tightened. Grabbing her arm, he stared at her. What's going on? Where is that personality? Where did you hide it? Why did it suddenly change? There were no signs at all. Hyunju didn't expect that he would come back. Not only was he unhappy, he also asked himself where that which had gone, and he was immediately furious. She's a ghost. She's not a personality. You've all been deceived. I was almost killed, and not only did you not care about me, you even asked about it. When she lost control of her body, Hyunju felt like she was having a nightmare. She saw that she not only easily won Tingting's favor, but also got along well with other military wives. In the end, she even made Cheo-young so obsessed with her that his eyes were glued to her as if the old house was on fire. She is not willing to give in. It's the same body, so why does everyone dislike her? Hearing her words, Cheo-young staggered and sat on the bed in a daze. How could she be a ghost? He doesn't believe it. The 37 million dead compatriots would have turned into evil spirits and razed the island to the ground. You are ill. I will take you to the provincial hospital for a checkup tomorrow. Cheo-young was worthy of being a regiment commander, and he quickly regained his composure, looked fixedly at the resentful Hyunju, and said in a cold voice, I won't go. Don't you just want to bring that fox back? I'm telling you. No way. I'm going to find a Taoist priest to do something and kill her tomorrow. Hyunju stared at Cheo-young and spoke word by word. And he like that fox? Then let her die. Hearing this, Cheo-young's eyes turned red. He looked at her with cold eyes, his voice sounding like it was squeezed out from between his teeth. You dare? Seeing that Cheo-young, who had always adhered to materialism, lost control because of just 1 or 2 words from her, Hyunju laughed, and it was a very sad laugh. I am obviously your wife, but you treat me like this for a ghost. Cheo-young, you're a soldier. Are you worthy of this military uniform? However, Cheo-young, who was accused by her, looked even colder. You are not my wife, he said affirmatively. As soon as these words were spoken, Hyunju stopped her endless stream of accusations, and her whole body seemed to be acupunctured.
You.
What makes you say that? If there are ghosts in this world, the ghost is you, not her. Cheo-young looked straight into her eyes. Hyunju was so frightened by the sight that her whole body trembled uncontrollably. No, I am not. I am a human being. I am your wife. Hyunju said this, and couldn't help but move forward and try to grab his clothes. But Cheo-young avoided him with disgust. I didn't understand before why you smelled nice sometimes and rotten sometimes.
I think I understand now.
The rotten smell seemed to come from the soul. It was very faint and could only be smelled when you got close. They have been married for so many years, and the few times they had love were when she had body odor. However, this fragrance only appears on a few nights. Most of the other times, it smells like rot. Cheo-young was puzzled and thought that there was something wrong with her body, but the doctor didn't say anything. It was not until she suddenly changed her personality just now that he finally figured out what was going on. Hyunju never thought that she would be beaten up instead of being beaten up. She was immediately panicked. I didn't. I'm not. You are slandering me. As she spoke, she shrank back into the bed. Her panic further confirmed Qiu Yong's guess. But he didn't say anything else, nor did he plan to do anything. He just found a stool and sat at the door. He looked as if he was going to keep her and not let her escape. Hyunju became even more frightened, so he tried to appeal to her emotions and reason with her. But when she racked her brains to recall, she found that they had no warm moments at all. At first, the two lived in different places and could only see each other once a year. Later, when they finally joined the army, they quarreled endlessly again. At the end of the quarrel, he couldn't bear it anymore and asked her to go back to Ning City. However, Hyunju in her body was shocked by Qiu Yong's words. He knows. He could actually tell the difference between her and Hyunju. Recalling the moment when she lost control of her body, he immediately let go of Hyunju, and her heart skipped a beat. But how did all this happen? Why didn't she remember it before? That night, the three people had different thoughts, but no one could fall asleep. The next day, Lin Wanxu remembered that Hyunju was going back to Ning City today. She got up early in the morning and started making some scallion pancakes for her to eat on the road. But just as she was frying pancakes, she heard the news that Hyunju had returned to her original personality. Upon hearing the news, Lin Wanxu lost her grip on the spatula and it fell back into the pot. That's Senior. She's gone? But Yu Fongfong disagreed and thought Hyunju was just playing tricks. Wan, what did I say? She was just playing a trick on us. How could she have such an outrageous, split personality? What she wanted to say was that something dirty had taken over her. She received a materialistic education, and her cognition was almost overturned these days. But Lin Wanxu's smile was very forced. She herself was reborn, and she, Hyunju, was definitely not pretending. Let alone anything else, just mention the fact that she could easily assemble a radio. Is this something that ordinary people can do by pretending? What's more, people's little movements and habits cannot deceive others. Thinking of this, she couldn't remain calm. Fongfong, come and fry some pancakes. I'll go see what's going on. As she said this, she took off her apron and went out. Yu Fongfong was left looking at the pot of scallion pancakes and was dumbfounded. Hey, you're just leaving like that? At least fry the pancakes first. I don't know how to do it. Picking up the spatula, she felt a little bit at a loss. Looking at the sizzling pancakes, she didn't know which one to flip first. Just then, Feng Jianxi came in. Mom, are the scallion pancakes ready? I'm so hungry. As he spoke, he rubbed his belly. When Yu Fongfong saw him, she felt like she had seen a savior. Son, you've come at the right time. The cake will be ready soon. I need your help. Feng Jianxi didn't suspect anything and went to the stove. How can I help you? It smells so good. Looking at the fragrant scallion pancakes in the pot, his mouth was watering. Yu Fongfong handed him the spatula without hesitation. Come and turn the pancake over. Mom will light the fire for you. Feng Jianxi. Listen, is this human language?
How old is he?
Just a head taller than the stove. But Yu Fongfong was obviously as thick-skinned as a city wall and had no idea what embarrassment was. She happily brought a stool to Feng Jianxi and encouraged him. I'm counting on you. Feng Jianxi's eyes were almost rolled up to the sky. If I had known, he would not have come to the kitchen. But even though he complained, he still resigned himself to his fate and started frying pancakes. What can I do if I don't fry it? What if her mother burns all of them? Wouldn't that be a waste of food? Here, the mother and son were working together to make pancakes, while on the other side, Hyunju had been up all night, with dark circles under her eyes and her eyes closed from time to time. It was obvious that she was very sleepy. But she didn't dare to sleep, for fear that if she fell asleep, Hyunju would take her body away again. Qiu Yong often trains in the wild, and he can always find time to close his eyes and rest under any conditions. Therefore, although he was the one who had been sitting there for the entire night, he still looked very energetic. The two of them washed up one after the other without saying a word the whole time. The atmosphere looked weird. Qiu Tingting looked at her father, then at her mother, her eyes full of worry. She didn't know why, but she felt like her parents seemed to have returned to the way they were before.
Mom.
Are you feeling unwell? Qiu Tingting heard that her mother was ill, and seeing that she was in low spirits, she couldn't help but ask worriedly. However, just as she asked, she saw that her mother, who had always doted on her, had a gloomy expression on her face. Even your mother can't recognize you. I have raised you for nothing for so long. Where had Qiu Tingting ever seen her mother look so scary? She was immediately shocked. Mom, what's wrong with you? Why do you say that? He Wenju looked at her innocent eyes, and the image of her looking at that witch with admiration flashed through his mind, and his face became more and more distorted.
He.
The offspring of an ungrateful wolf are indeed ungrateful wolves. I was so good to you, but you didn't remember it at all. When others gave you a little sweet treat, you just followed them. Qiu Tingting was completely confused and had no idea what her mother was talking about. Just looking at her expression as if he wanted to eat her, she couldn't help but shrink back, her eyes full of fear. Qiu Yong directly protected her behind him. If you have any problem, come to me. The child is innocent. Looking at his defensive expression, He Wenju's eyes turned red with hatred. I have taken care of you for so many years. Even if I have no credit, I have worked hard. This is how you treat me? Are you human? Qiu Yong looked at her with sarcasm. Are you sure you raised the child by yourself? Are you here to take care of my food and clothing? At the beginning, she was always trying to argue about everything. Seeing that most of the wives in the courtyard had jobs, she started to make efforts everywhere, hoping to get a more decent job than others. I don't like the job arranged by my family. In the end, I didn't get the job and I couldn't raise my child well. Even the job arranged for her by her family was taken away because she was slow to go to work. His mother didn't approve of this marriage in the first place, and when she saw how troublesome she was, she became even more dissatisfied. Over the years, he has received many complaint calls from his mother. They complained that he didn't take good care of his wife and didn't educate his children well, and that He Wenju only cared about giving things and didn't care about their education at all. This forced her to help take care of her granddaughter while working. The key is that she just watched it, but her granddaughter was spoiled and didn't listen at all. He was so ducking annoyed. In the end, Qiu Yong had no choice but to let her bring Tingting to join the army. As a result, after joining the army, she was still not idle and was trying to get involved in the family committee work every day. Qiu Yong was so annoyed by the hassle that he had no choice but to help her and let her take the position of director of the parents' committee as she wished. But I never thought that she would cause so much trouble in the end. Facing his gaze that seemed to be able to penetrate her heart, He Wenju felt a little uneasy. But when she thought of her love for Qiu Tingting, she straightened her chest again. Although I didn't bring much, you can't deny that I was good to her, right? Was mentioned. Qiu Yong's expression became even worse. Are you really good to her? Or are you doting on her unconditionally just to cover up your guilty conscience? Meeting his aggressive gaze, He Wenju's chest, which had just been straightened, shrank back again. I kept asking for a long time, but still couldn't figure it out. Qiu Yong didn't want to argue with her anymore. The most urgent thing was to find out what was going on with her as soon as possible. Without delay, he put on his hat and hurried out. He Wenju was relieved when she saw that he was no longer guarding her. Not daring to stay any longer, she turned around and went back into the house. I planned to find some money and leave here quickly. No matter what, she had to get rid of that threat. Lin Wanshu arrived. The only one left in the Qiu family was Qiu Tingting, who looked at a loss. Tingting, why are you sitting at the door? Where are your parents? When she saw Lin Wanshu, Qiu Tingting's eyes turned red, and she burst into tears. Aunt, my dad had a fight with my mom and left. I'm so scared. Wouldn't they want me anymore? Qiu Tingting was before. She was still a child, not to mention that she has changed a lot now. Seeing how pitiful she was, Lin Wanshu hurried forward to comfort her. They may have gone out for something. Don't worry. Go to my aunt's house and sit for a while. I made some delicious scallion pancakes. Hearing her gentle comfort, Qiu Tingting seemed to have found her backbone and was no longer so panicked. He Wenju was not at home, so Lin Wanshu could only wipe Qiu Tingting's tears and take her home first. As soon as I got home and walked into the kitchen, I smelled a delicious smell. Lin Wanshu looked towards the stove and saw Feng Jianxi standing on a stool, making pancakes seriously. Next to her was Yu Fangfang, who was holding a scallion pancake and eating it while encouraging her son. "Well done, son. You made a great pancake." Yu Fangfang was still chewing the scallion pancake as she praised it in a vague voice. Although Feng Jianxi, who was praised, was sweating profusely, he was full of energy. Putting the pancakes in the pot, he said to Yu Fangfang proudly, "Need I say more? Don't you see who I am? Give me 2 more pots, and I can handle it." Hearing this, Yu Fangfang looked even more relieved. Giving him a thumbs up, she said with emotion, "I knew I was right. Wait, I'll bring you another cake right away." Wow, her son is so capable. Her family will have food to eat from now on. Lin Wanshu didn't expect that Yu Fangfang would actually let her young son make pancakes. She was so shocked that she was speechless. "Fangfang, don't you feel guilty for using such young children? She's only 5 years old." "Yu Fangfang, what is conscience? Are there any pancakes that are delicious?" Lin Wanshu. After all, no one was as thick-skinned as her, so she finally took over the pancake job. "Jianxi, Sister Tingting is a little unhappy. Can you take her to play with her friends?" Lin Wanshu spoke. She took out the oil paper bag she had prepared in advance and wrapped a fried scallion pancake for each of them. Ever since Feng Jianxi knew that Qiu Tingting could assemble all kinds of things, he liked playing with her. Hearing Lin Wanshu's words, he patted his chest and said, "Don't worry, Anwan, I promise I will make her happy soon." As he said that, he called Tingting out to play. Although Tingting was still a little depressed, she did not refuse and followed her out. When Yu Fangfang saw Qiu Tingting leave, she lowered her voice and asked, "Wan, how is it? What's the situation with He Wenju now?" Lin Wanshu shook her head. "I didn't see her. When I went to their house, Qiu Tingting was the only one there." Was not satisfied. But she soon stopped caring about these things because Tang Qian finally brought her father over. "I just came back from Tang Qian's house. Guess what?" Yang Zheng, who is always at the forefront of the crowd, said to the two of them. "How is it? What's the situation with her father?" Yu Fangfang was also very supportive. She asked curiously while eating a scallion pancake. Half of the ingredients for this scallion pancake were provided by her. Knowing that Lin Wanshu was going to make scallion pancakes for He Wenju, she brought a bag of flour over last night. She pestered Lin Wanshu to make some for her. Early in the morning, as soon as it was light, she came over with peanut oil to help. Now she was enjoying the fruits of her labor. Not only did she eat some herself, she also generously gave one to Yang Zheng. The two sat face to face eating biscuits and gossiping. Oh, don't mention it. It's no wonder Tang Qian feels so sorry for her dad. Her dad has been tortured so much that he looks like a nobody. He's so skinny that he can't even sit still. Tang Qian said that the jerk brother let the old man starve like this because he didn't send anything back this month. Upon hearing this, Yu Fangfang, who had been eating the biscuit with gusto, suddenly couldn't chew it anymore. How can there be such a beast in this world? Isn't that his father? Isn't he afraid of retribution? Who knows? They say loving mothers often spoil their children, but I heard from Tang Qian that her parents didn't spoil their children either. I don't know how they gave birth to such a bad kid. It can be said that it is totally inhumane. It's no exaggeration to say that he is born a bad person. Fortunately, Tang Qian brought her man back this time. I heard that she blocked the brother in the shower room and beat him up with a carrying pole. He won't be able to get out of bed for 10 days or half a month. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang almost jumped up and clapped. Well done. This kind of beast should be beaten severely. If this was her younger brother, she would definitely break his legs and let him have a taste of what Tang's father is like. After Yang Zheng finished telling the gossip, she left with a satisfied look on her face. Before leaving, Lin Wanshu stuffed 2 more scallion pancakes into her mouth and asked her to take them back for her children. It is estimated that He Wenju will not be able to return to Ning City. I fried too many scallion pancakes. If I don't share some with others, she won't be able to finish them tomorrow. Lin Wanshu had already prepared a lot of noodles, and with the ones brought by Yu Fongfong, she fried several pots. It was already past 9 o'clock when we finished frying the scallion pancakes. Yu Fongfong took her plate of scallion pancakes and went back satisfied. She was so smart that she could exchange a bag of flour and some peanut oil for a plate of scallion pancakes. Lin Wanshu finished frying the pancakes. Qin Yan came back. He was holding 2 rabbits, one big and one small. Xiao Miao Miao was eating a scallion pancake. When she saw the rabbit, her eyes suddenly lit up. Rabbit a few. While shouting, she walked towards her father. But the winter clothes are too thick. The little guy looks chubby, his hands can't hang down, and he walks like a little penguin. That adorable look melted the old father's heart. Hand the smaller rabbit directly to Xiao Miao Miao. Xiao Miao Miao was so happy that she stuffed the scallion pancake into her father's mouth. Then she imitated her father and grabbed the little rabbit's ears. Qin Yan. Lin Wanshu saw his mouth filled with scallion pancake. She immediately burst into laughter. But knowing that his hands were dirty and he couldn't take the cake, she still reached out to help him take it. Qin Yan took a big bite of the scallion pancake and started chewing. Put the rabbit in the cage. Wash your hands and eat a cake first. Lin Wanshu felt that it was inconvenient for him to carry a rabbit, so she made a suggestion. But she didn't expect that not only did he not wash his hands, he also sat next to her, as if waiting for her to feed him. Lin Wanshu. Virtue. How come she hadn't noticed he was like this before? Was so angry that she reached out and pinched his waist. But even though she pinched him, her body was very honest and fed him mouthful by mouthful. Qin Yan's eyes were full of smiles. It was clearly a salty scallion pancake, but he inexplicably tasted a sweet flavor. Xiao Miao Miao had no idea what those unscrupulous parents were doing. After getting the rabbit, she ran out happily and planned to show it to her friends. But as soon as I went out, I lost my grip on the little rabbit and it fell down. Qin Yan noticed it with his sharp eyes and was about to help her catch the rabbit again, but the little rabbit did not run away, but circled around his daughter. Qin Yan. Lin Wanshu also saw the little rabbit actually following her daughter and almost dropped her jaw in shock. What's going on? In the yard, Xiao Miao Miao has started playing with the rabbit. When she runs, it runs. When she stops, it stops too. Just like a little tail, it follows Xiao Miao Miao wherever he goes. Qin Yan had also never seen such a scene. He had just caught this little rabbit from the mountain. Who would have thought that he would stick to his daughter like a pet? But Lin Wanshu suddenly thought of Xiao Miao Miao's fishing experience and told Qin Yan about it. Now, the couple couldn't help but wonder if the baby was particularly popular with animals. Thinking of this, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but feel a little worried. I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Just observe for a while, and don't worry. Qin Yan comforted her.
Lin Wanshu.
She could only wait and see what happened. Xiao Miao Miao was unaware of Lin Wanshu's worries, and she skipped out to play with the little rabbit. The Shun Si brothers had just finished their meal and were about to come over to play with Xiao Miao Miao. When they saw her leading a rabbit, they were both shocked. Miao Miao, where did the little rabbit come from? Shunyu stared at the little rabbit following her with wide eyes, thinking that there might be something wrong with her eyes. Why is this rabbit so obedient? The little white rabbit with red eyes curiously. Last time, he gave a rabbit to Xiao Miao Miao. Because of the heavy rain, the rabbit probably drank rainwater and died of diarrhea. Then who sent this? How come he didn't know she had a new rabbit? Xiao Miao Miao picked up the little rabbit and showed it to the two of them like a treasure. Dad, here, it turned out that it was given by Uncle Qin. Miao Miao, can I hug your little rabbit? Seeing how well-behaved her rabbit was, Shunyu felt itchy in her hands. Why aren't his Suehua and Xiaowei so obedient? Xiao Miao Miao is a generous child. When she heard her brother wanted to hold the little rabbit, she handed the rabbit to him without hesitation. Shunyu reached out to take it with an expectant look on his face. But just as he touched the little rabbit, He saw the white thing jump on its hind legs and directly jump to the ground. Shenyu. No, there is no thorn on his hand, right? So what? Shenyu looked at the rabbit that had returned to Xiao Miao Miao's feet with a look of doubt on his face. Shen Xiai also felt that this little thing was a little too psychic. However, knowing that the little rabbit would not follow them, the two brothers did not try to catch her rabbit again. The three kids were leading a little rabbit and parading around the staff quarters and soon attracted a lot of friends. Qiu Tingting played with the group of children for a long time. She was still in a low mood. I don't know where her parents went. Feng Jianxi felt that he had accomplished his mission of coaxing people and went to play with Xiao Miao Miao happily again. The group was planning to go to San Wang's house to warm themselves by a fire and roast sweet potatoes when they saw Yuanzhu walking towards them angrily. When she saw her, Qiu Tingting's eyes lit up.
Mom.
Are you back? Was still filled with joy when she saw her. However, her cheers did not receive a gentle response from her mother, but instead she was roughly pulled by her. You come with me. Qiu Tingting's arm was so painful from being pulled, but she still endured it and asked with a worried look on her face, Mom, where are we going? Yuanzhu had a dark face, and there was anger, fear, and unspeakable madness in his eyes. Just go if I tell you to. Stop talking nonsense. After saying that, she pulled Qiu Tingting and walked quickly towards the gate of the staff quarters. The children were frightened by her, so how could they dare to go forward? I could only watch her pull Qiu Tingting away. Qiu Tingting looked at her mother, who seemed like a different person and had a bad feeling in her heart, but she didn't dare to struggle, so she was dragged to the gate of the staff quarters. Just as she reached the door and hadn't even stood firm, Qiu Tingting felt someone grabbing her mother's chest. Mom, what's wrong? Qiu Tingting was puzzled and looked up at her mother with wide eyes. But the next second, her throat tightened and a hand was pinching her neck. Qiu Tingting looked incredulous. Fear made her subconsciously grab her hand, trying to take it away. But how could she, a child, possibly match the strength of an adult? Sister-in-law, what are you doing? Let go of the child. The soldier on duty saw that something was wrong and rushed forward. Don't move. Don't come near. Let me out, or I will strangle her to death. Yuanzhu stared at the soldier on duty with a pair of bloodshot eyes. She had already made up her mind to kill that witch before Qiu Yong came back. As long as she disappeared, the matter was done, and no matter how angry he was, he had to accept it. But she never expected that Qiu Yong actually ordered her not to go out. What does he want to do? Is he going to find a Taoist priest to deal with her? Yuanzhu was angry and terrified. At this moment, how could she care whether Qiu Tingting would be hurt? She just wanted to get away from here quickly. Soldiers didn't expect her to be so crazy that she would even strangle her own child. Fearing that Qiu Tingting might be in danger, they had no choice but to take a few steps back, as she said. Qiu Tingting also didn't expect that her mother, who was so nice to her yesterday, would strangle her to death today. The hand around her neck was a little tight, and she felt like she was almost unable to breathe. He looked directly at Yuanzhu with pleading eyes, hoping to summon back a bit of maternal love and let him go. But Yuanzhu had fallen into madness, with only one thought left in his mind, which was to escape from here and leave as soon as possible. Holding Qiu Tingting with one hand, she pinched her neck with the other hand and pulled her towards the door. As she walked, she threatened the soldiers following her. Stop. If you come any closer, I'll strangle her to death. In her body, Yuanzhu didn't expect that she would even hurt her own daughter, and she was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Are you crazy? Let go of Tingting. She's suffocating. Tingting? Yuanzhu sneered. You call her that so affectionately. If you like her so much, then go die. If you die, I won't have to leave here. Yuanzhu originally thought that she was just a child she had been with for 20 days, so how could she possibly give up her life for her? But when she saw Qiu Tingting almost suffocating, a huge panic mixed with a tearing heartache overwhelmed her. And at this moment, suddenly, a picture flashed through my mind. In the picture, she was lying on the delivery bed, and the severe pain seemed to tear her in half alive. Doctor's voice of guidance is in my ears. Come on, follow the rhythm of the contractions and push hard. When you feel pain, take a deep breath, then exhale slowly while pushing hard. The pain made her consciousness blurred, and she could only follow the doctor's instructions instinctively. She didn't know how long it had been, so long that she thought she was going to die in pain. Then she heard a cry of wow. It's born. Congratulations, you're a little girl. Along with the festive voices of doctors and nurses, Hyunju fell into darkness again. So that's how it is? The child was actually born to her? Because her soul was damaged, she fell into a deep sleep after giving birth. All the memories about Chio Yong and Chio Tingting were completely forgotten. However, because Hyunju was an invader, she was unable to reproduce at all. But her amazing thing is that even without her memories, she can rely on instinct to control her to enter the body and complete childbirth. This is also the reason why Hyunju only gave birth to Tingting and did not have a second child. Even though she couldn't feel her own existence, subconsciously, she would not allow herself to have another child. She was taken over, manipulated, and now her own child is being strangled by her. Overwhelming anger almost made Hyunju's soul burn.
Darn you!
You despicable thief, let go of my child. Never underestimate the power of motherly love. Originally so weak that she could only curl up in a corner, suddenly had her soul swell rapidly. Surging soul body seemed to be faintly glowing with a layer of golden light. Soon as Jin Guang touched Hyunju, he heard her scream violently. The pain made her let go of Chio Tingting. Then, the soul with Hyunju's appearance seemed to have been stripped of its disguise, revealing a figure with blood holes all over its body. Seeing this familiar face, Hyunju's pupils shrank. It's you? She was the one who beat herself to death, so how come she died too? The bloody soul was exposed. His face was filled with hysteria and madness. It's not fair. Why can you reincarnate but I can't? Hearing this, Hyunju finally understood. It turned out that she was unable to reincarnate, so she took over her body and stole her life, while her soul was damaged. Thinking of this, Hyunju's eyes became even colder. Why should you be allowed to reincarnate as someone who betrayed the nation and killed so many of your compatriots? Even if you were to reincarnate, the only place you should go would be as an animal. After saying that, Hyunju condensed the golden light on her fingertips and gently pressed it towards her.
No.
The bloody soul screamed in fear. But the next second, her whole body was like sand, disappearing directly into the air. After doing all this, Hyunju seemed to have exhausted all his mental strength and fell directly to the ground. Sudden change left the soldiers dumbfounded. When they came to their senses, they walked forward quickly. Quick, send them to the clinic first. Then send someone to notify the group leader. By the time Lin Wanshu received the message, it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Wanshu, Dr. Zhang wants you to go to the clinic. Ji Hualon is now the director of the Parent-Teacher Association. When she heard about Hyunju's situation, she went to the hospital early. Chio Tingting was probably frightened and kept huddled in the corner of the bed. No matter who spoke to her, she did not respond. Hyunju remained unconscious, her face as pale as a ghost, and her breath so weak that it seemed as if she would die at any time. Several doctors were already trying to save the patient, but there was no sign of improvement, so they could only call Lin Wanshu over to see if she had any good ideas. Lin Wanshu was shocked to hear that the mother and daughter were in bad condition. Without delay, she grabbed her medical bag and went out. On the other hand, Chio Yong, who had just returned to the family compound, heard that Hyunju almost strangled his daughter to death. Both mother and daughter are in the hospital now. I didn't expect her to be so cruel. Chio Yong staggered and almost fell. My sister-in-law is in the clinic now, and her condition is very bad. Told him about the situation of Hyunju and Chio Tingting. Hearing that Hyunju might die at any time, Chio Yong's breath was choked. Let's go. Let's take a look. Without delay, he turned and ran to the clinic. But the steps were a little staggering. No matter how much he hated Hyunju, he had to save her life. If she dies, she will never come back. When he thought of this, Chiu Yong couldn't help but feel a fishy and sweet taste in his throat. When the young soldier saw the appearance of his commander, he was immediately frightened. "Captain, don't worry, my sister-in-law will be fine." He comforted her as he ran. But how could Chiu Yong listen to him? He just wished he could grow wings and fly to the clinic. The two of them hurried to the clinic, but unexpectedly they ran into Lin Wanshu and Ji Hualan halfway. Learned that Lin Wanshu had gone to rescue Huanju, he felt like he had grabbed a life-saving straw. He looked at Lin Wanshu with pleading eyes. "Comrade Xiaolin, please. You must save her. I will try my best." Lin Wanshu didn't know what was going on, so she could only comfort him like this. After saying that, she didn't delay and ran towards the clinic as quickly as possible. As soon as she entered the clinic, she was led directly to the emergency room by the nurse. In the emergency room, Huanju was already connected to an oxygen tube and an ECG monitor. With the help of the nurse, Lin Wanshu quickly put on her white coat and walked to the emergency bed. "Comrade Lin, you came at the right time. Her condition is really too strange. We have checked her. She is obviously healthy, but her breathing is very weak. The electrocardiogram shows that the situation is not optimistic. They did all the necessary rescue work, but to no avail. In all their long years in the industry, they have never seen such a strange situation. Director Zhang, what's the point of telling her this? She's just an intern. What can she understand?" When Qi Honglian saw that he really ignored her objection and called Lin Wanshu over, her face looked very ugly. Although the other two doctors didn't say anything, there was some doubt on their faces. Lin Wanshu ignored their looks and calmly took Huanju's pulse and examined her at her own pace. Then she frowned slightly. "Hey, do you know how to do it? If you don't know, don't pretend to be calm. Will you be responsible if the rescue is delayed?" Seeing that she pretended to check but didn't say a word, Qi Honglian couldn't help but make sarcastic remarks. Lin Wanshu still ignored her and said to Zhang Qingfeng she was overdrawn mentally, which led to insufficient energy, and she fell into a deep coma. But as soon as she said this, she was immediately scolded by Qi Honglian. Nonsense. No matter how exhausted she was, she couldn't have been breathing like she was. And how do you explain her good health? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu finally looked up at her. "Director Qi, the patient's condition is very critical. If you have a way, just use it. If not, please don't interrupt and delay my rescue." What could Qi Honglian do? Several doctors took turns to perform the rescue just now, but she was the one who did the least. When she heard Lin Wanshu's words, her face suddenly turned red. Zhang Qingfeng also said somewhat displeasedly, "Director Qi, rescuing the patient is the most important thing. We can talk about irrelevant things later." Although the other two doctors did not say anything, this time they looked at Qi Honglian with disapproval. Qi Honglian was extremely embarrassed. She gritted her teeth, turned around and glared at Lin Wanshu. "Just wait and see. If something happens to the patient this time, she will be in big trouble." No one raised any objections, and Lin Wanshu did not delay and directly took out a bottle of medicine from her medical bag. Then she poured out a brown pill. "What is this? You're not going to give it to her, are you?" Qi Honglian had another complaint. Even the two doctors had frowned brows and looked worried. Only Zhang Qingfeng remained extremely calm. "This is a pill to nourish the heart and replenish qi. It's just that these are not ordinary pills on the market. Instead, they come from space and are made from precious medicinal materials." Lin Wanshu briefly explained the function and effect of the pills and prepared to feed them to Huanju. Chinese medicine jargon in a mysterious way, like a charlatan. "Don't blame me for not reminding you. If anything goes wrong with the patient, I will definitely report it to the team, and you won't even have your medical license left." Lin Wanshu was too lazy to talk to her, so she asked the nurse to bring a glass of water. After dissolving the pills in warm water, she fed them directly to Huanju. There was silence in the emergency room. No one spoke. Everyone held their breath, ready to rescue at any time. Under the attention of everyone, a magical scene appeared. The beating line on the heart rate monitor gradually returned to normal. Any moment began to become steady. Everyone present was shocked. Chi Honglian's face turned blue and red. The words that had just been spoken now turned into a slap in the face, hitting her hard in the face. After seeing that He Wenju's condition began to improve, Lin Wanshu took out the silver needles and prepared to give her acupuncture to consolidate the results. Now, no one raised any objections. They even opened their eyes wide, wanting to see how she treated it. Lin Wanshu's acupuncture skills became more and more perfect. When the last needle was placed, He Wenju's eyelashes trembled slightly. The nurse who was checking the breathing and pulse had a slightly excited voice when reporting. Everyone had only one thought in their mind. The patient is fine. Lin Wanshu's seemingly mysterious method is really effective, and the effect is extremely good. Comrade Lin, your medical skills are getting better and better. It seems that your internship at the military hospital is going well. The patient was out of danger, and Zhang Qingfeng was in the mood to chat with Lin Wanshu. Thanks to Director Shi Serong, I learned a lot from her. To hear that her teacher was Shi Serong. No wonder you are such a great doctor. Among those studying medicine doesn't know who Shi Sume is? She was transferred from Southwest Hospital. She saved several patients who were declared beyond help. Lin Wanshu can get her guidance, and her future will be limitless. A moment, several people looked at her with a little more eagerness. If talents like these could come here, wouldn't they have to reduce a lot of workload? Only Chi Honglian had an expression as ugly as it could be. If you don't know, you would think you have been constipated for 10 days or half a month. Isn't she just a junior high school graduate? How can she be so amazing? Lin Wanshu didn't even look at her. She retracted the needles one by one and said to Zhang Qingfeng, she should wake up in 10 minutes. Just send her to the general ward for observation. No one present doubted her words. Even if Chi Honglian was not convinced, it was useless. After all, everyone could see the patient's condition. Lin Wanshu packed her things. She asked about Qiu Tingting's situation. She is in the ward, but she is in shock and won't communicate with anyone now. The nurse knew how serious Lin Wanshu was, so she told her about Qiu Tingting's condition in detail. I'll go and take a look. Lin Wanshu felt very sympathetic towards Qiu Tingting's situation, so she followed the nurse to the next ward. In the ward, Qiu Tingting curled up in the corner of the bed, motionless, with a dull look in her eyes. Qiu Yong sat on the edge of the bed, not daring to get too close. Suppressed the bitterness in his eyes and said with a voice full of guilt, "It's Dad's fault. Dad didn't protect you well. I'm back now, and I won't let anyone hurt you again." However, Qiu Tingting did not react at all to his words. He just stared with a pair of empty eyes, his vision completely out of focus. Qiu Yong's heart almost broke when he saw his daughter like this. And just at this moment, Lin Wanshu also came in. "Captain Qiu, my sister-in-law is out of danger and has been wheeled to the next ward." Hearing this, Qiu Yong quickly stood up and thanked her. But after thanking her, he showed no intention of going to the next ward to take a look. Lin Wanshu could understand his reaction. After all, He Wenju almost strangled Qiu Tingting to death just now. Now the child is still scared like this. If it were her, she wouldn't be in the mood to look at the culprit. And Lin Wanshu's guess was indeed correct. Qiu Yong could go see that lunatic now. He was afraid that he would lose control and strangle her to death. Lin Wanshu explained He Wenju's condition. She slowly walked towards Qiu Tingting. But as soon as she approached, Qiu Tingting jumped up like a frightened bird and shrank into the corner. He looked terrified, as if he wanted to hide in the wall. Lin Wanshu dared to get closer. She just stood 3 steps away, looking at her with a distressed look on her face. "Tingting, I'm your aunt. Do you remember me? I'm the aunt who can make snowy mooncakes." I don't know if it was Lin Wanshu's gentle voice that had a soothing effect, or if the temptation of the snow-skin mooncakes was too great. Qiu Tingting, who had not responded to anything I said just now, blinked. Seeing her like this, Qiu Yong was very excited, but he didn't dare to say anything for fear of scaring her again. Lin Wanshu's voice softened a little. "Tingting, do you want to eat snowy mooncakes? Auntie will make a box for you later, okay?" What flavor do you like? Now, Qiu Tingting's vision finally came into focus, but his expression was still a little dazed. She looked straight at Lin Wanshu, but still didn't say anything. But this is already a huge surprise. Lin Wanshu suppressed her excitement and continued to coax her gently. Andy will make one of each for you. Try them and tell me which one is delicious. I will make it for you next time, okay? Her words did not get a response from Qiu Tingting, but Lin Wanshu could still see the desire in her eyes. She reached into her bag and took out a small doll that was no bigger than her palm and shook it at Qiu Tingting. I'll make you some snowy mooncakes now, and I'll let this little doll stay here with you, okay? There are probably few girls in this world who can resist puppets, and Qiu Tingting is no exception. Ever since Lin Wanshu took out the doll, Qiu Tingting's eyes seemed to be glued to it, not moving at all. Lin Wanshu knew that she was interested in this little thing, so she took a tentative step towards her. Qiu Tingting did not shrink back this time. Seeing this, Lin Wanshu slowly took another step closer to her. When she was one step away from Qiu Tingting, she did not move forward, but handed the doll over. Qiu Tingting stared at the puppet in front of her. The expression of wanting to reach out but not daring to do so made Qiu Yong feel uneasy. At the same time, his anger towards He Wenju increased a little more. Lin Wanshu knew that Qiu Tingting really wanted it, so she took another half step forward. Then, tentatively, she handed the doll to her. And this time, Qiu Tingting finally responded. She quickly took the doll and hugged it tightly in her arms. Seeing her take the doll, Lin Wanshu also breathed a sigh of relief. Without daring to make any other moves, she said softly, "Then let the puppet stay here with you. I'll go make snowy mooncakes and be back soon." Having said that, she prepared to leave. But as soon as I turned around, I felt someone pulling the hem of my clothes. Lin Wanshu's heart moved, and a hint of surprise appeared on her face. Sure enough, who else could it be but Qiu Tingting, who grabbed her clothes? Lin Wanshu saw the remaining panic and fear in her eyes. Her heart ached, and she felt very uncomfortable. She was about to hug her. Qiu Tingting threw herself into her arms and hugged her tightly. Lin Wanshu felt even more distressed, so she reached out and hugged her trembling body. By her like this, seemed to feel safe, and finally spoke.
Why?
Auntie. Why? Her voice was hoarse and difficult to understand, and her words were incoherent. But Lin Wanshu still understood. Touching her head lovingly, she thought for a moment before saying, "Tingting, your mother is just sick. She didn't do this to you on purpose. You are very good and great. You can even install a generator. The children in our family compound all adore you." Hearing this, Qiu Tingting could no longer hold back and burst into tears. Qiu Tingting cried, and everyone in the ward breathed a sigh of relief. As long as she's willing to cry, everything will be fine as long as she lets it out. Lin Wanshu just hugged Qiu Tingting and let her cry as much as she wanted. I don't know how long it was before she finally stopped. Although his eyes were swollen badly, at least there was no fear and numbness on his face, and he looked much more normal. Lin Wanshu was very pleased, and after a few more words of comfort, she said, "Andy will go back and make you snowy mooncakes now. Will you just wait here obediently?" She had to go to An City in the afternoon and didn't have much time. Qiu Tingting was very reluctant. She couldn't resist the desire for the snowy mooncakes in her heart, so she let go of Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu touched her little head, then got up and left. After she left, Qiu Yong slowly sat next to Qiu Tingting. Qiu Tingting didn't look at him, but lowered her head and looked carefully at the little puppet in her hand. It was as if he was looking at some precious treasure. Qiu Yong didn't dare to provoke her, so he didn't say anything. He just sat beside her and accompanied her quietly. In the next ward, He Wenju finally woke up. She blinked for a long time before she realized what had happened. Suddenly, thinking of Qiu Tingting, who was being strangled, her face changed. She directly lifted the quilt and got off the bed. The nurse saw that she was awake and hurried forward. "Bed number 5, are you awake? Are you feeling unwell?" He Wenju was worried about Qiu Tingting at the moment, so how could she care about her own situation? Seeing the nurse, she grabbed her hand and asked anxiously, "Where's my daughter? Where is she now?" Hearing this, the nurse looked a little strange. She had heard that the little patient in the next ward was her daughter. He was almost strangled to death by her and was sent to the hospital. Thinking of this, she advised, "Your daughter has been frightened. You'd better not go there now. Wait until you recover." But how could Hyunju listen to her? Seeing that she didn't tell him, he rushed out of the ward. "Hey! Wait, where are you going?" The nurse hurried after him. There were only a few wards in the clinic, so Hyunju planned to search each one by one. But who would have thought that as soon as I walked to the door of the next ward, I would suddenly see a father and daughter sitting on the innermost bed. Seeing that it was Chiu Tingting, Hyunju was delighted. When she was about to go in to see how she was, Chiu Yong happened to hear the noise and turned around. "What are you doing here?" In Chiu Yong's understanding, the person in front of him was still the soul that had robbed his body last night, and the vicious woman who almost strangled his daughter to death. Therefore, seeing that Hyunju dared to come over, his face looked very ugly. Chiu Tingting also saw Hyunju. In an instant, the fear of being strangled to death surged up again, and she threw herself into Chiu Yong's arms, trembling. Chiu Yong's coldness and his daughter's fear were like a basin of cold water poured over their heads. Originally wanted to go forward to check on her daughter, just froze where she was. She moved her lips and tried to explain that she was not the one who pinched him. But when the words came to her lips, she swallowed them back. For Chiu Tingting, what is the difference between that person's pinching and her own pinching? The damage had already been done, and if she rushed forward now, it would only make her more terrified. "Hurry up and leave. Don't scare Tingting here." Chiu Yong turned sideways and held Chiu Tingting in his arms without even looking at Hyunju. Hyunju knew that it was useless to be anxious. It would take time to slowly repair the damage done to her daughter. Oh, she turned and left disappointed. Chiu Yong still didn't look back. He was afraid that he couldn't control his anger. On the other hand, Lin Wanshu returned home and started preparing to make some snow-skin mooncakes for Chiu Tingting. It happened that several military wives came to inquire about Hyunju's situation. When they saw her making snow-skin mooncakes, they started to help without saying a word. What on earth is going on with Hyunju? How did she almost strangle her daughter to death? Is she really crazy? Yongjung asked as she helped mix the glutinous rice flour. Lin Wanshu wasn't quite sure what the exact situation was. She didn't want to make a blind guess about Hyunju's matter, so she just said she didn't know. Yongjung felt that Lin Wanshu's ability to gather intelligence was too weak. "How come you don't know anything no matter what I ask? You are a frontline rescuer, but you don't even have third-hand information." Seeing her shake her head and sigh with disappointment on her face, Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, she would definitely not tell anyone that Hyunju's soul might have been replaced. The others started discussing among themselves. "I saw her a while ago, and she was well-educated and well-mannered. I thought she would change for the better. Who would have thought she would suddenly do something like this? Who said it wasn't true? He was fine a few days ago, but he suddenly went crazy. What a pity." Qin Yan always waited hard for his wife to have a holiday, but he never got to spend much time with her, which made him feel a little unwell. He watched his wife and several military wives making mooncakes, but he didn't want to get too close. Final sigh, he turned and walked towards the pavilion. The kitchen window faces the pavilion. Lin Wanshu looked up. She saw the man who seemed to be surrounded by low pressure, and she couldn't help but be silent. "I also feel a rare sense of guilt in my heart. She has been really busy recently, either busy with hospital matters or busy with family quarters matters. She even ignored her own man." Out of concern and wanting to squeeze out some time for him, Lin Wanshu made the mooncakes very quickly. With the help of the military wives, the mooncakes were ready just before noon. The children saw Lin Wanshu making snow-skin mooncakes again. They were all very excited. Ever since they last ate it. The other military wives also knew that Lin Wanshu would definitely give mooncakes to her children, so each of them went back and brought some ingredients. Anyway, no one intends to eat for free or take advantage of others. Lin Wanshu packed a box for Chiu Tingting and kept 2 boxes for herself. She took 1 box to Shi Surong and kept 1 box at home for Xiao Miao Miao to eat. The rest were all divided. Xiao Miao Miao got a beautiful mooncake and went out happily holding it. The mooncakes were made, and the military wives and children had all left. Lin Wanshu hurried out with a box of mooncakes. It was as if he didn't see Qin Yan in the pavilion at all. Qin Yan looked at his busy wife with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. After waiting for a while and seeing no one coming back, he got up and went to the reception room, which was also Lin Wanshu's temporary clinic and pharmacy. From the space, and started reading. In his hand was about ammunition. Qin Yan had excellent hearing and was not afraid of someone suddenly breaking in and seeing him. For some reason, he just couldn't get into the book that had originally attracted him. I don't know how long it had been, but suddenly, familiar footsteps were heard in the quiet yard. Qin Yan paused in turning the pages of the book, and his ears perked up unconsciously. The footsteps first circled around the yard and kitchen. Then he walked into the room again. Qin Yan. Didn't she see she was here? Thinking of the door that was not closed, Qin Yan frowned slightly. Fortunately, as if someone knew what he was thinking, the footsteps finally came out of the house and were moving towards the living room step by step. After a moment, a woman's gentle voice came from the door. "Comrade, are you feeling unwell?" Qin Yan's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and when he turned around, he saw the woman standing at the door with a sweet smile. He stared at her for a long while, paused, and then slowly spoke. "I don't feel well here." The hand with distinct joints pointed to the left side of the chest. As soon as he finished speaking, the woman walked in with graceful steps. Then she moved a chair and sat opposite him. "Oh, then let me check it for you," Lin Wanshu said as she took out a stethoscope. Qin Yan looked at her serious little face, and his heartbeat, which had already missed a beat, became even more out of control. But he didn't move and let her hold the stethoscope and gently stroke it across his chest, finally landing on his heart. "It's winter now, and the weather is a bit cold." Lin Wanshu was wearing 3 pieces of clothing, but Qin Yan seemed to have no idea what cold was. In the 8 or 9-degree weather, he was still only wearing 1 piece of clothing. Lin Wanshu paused as she felt the man's solid muscles through his not-so-thick clothes. Then, the soft little hands gently pressed on his bulging chest muscles. "Is it uncomfortable here?" the woman asked him, blinking her big, watery eyes as if they had hooks. Qin Yan's Adam's apple rolled up and down, and his voice became a little hoarse. Lin Wanshu had a wicked smile on her lips and began to examine him carefully. Her movements seemed very proper, but Qin Yan's breathing became rapid without her knowing when. "Comrade, your condition is a bit serious. You need treatment as soon as possible." The woman's voice was light and soft. She clearly said treatment, but her tone was so ambiguous that it made people blush and their heart beat fast. The man's deep eyes became deeper and deeper, as if they could swallow people up. But he still didn't move, and just asked cooperatively, "Oh? What kind of treatment do you need?" Lin Wanshu hooked her finger at him. "This treatment method is somewhat special."
Come closer.
Qin Yan looked at her sparkling and passionate eyes, and the blood in his body surged uncontrollably. But he still cooperated obediently and slowly moved towards her. Soon, Qin Yan experienced his wife's special treatment. By the time the two set out for the county town, it was already 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The weather is not very good today. It looks gray and dark. It was very cold on the road, so Lin Wanshu didn't let Xiao Miao Miao go with her. During this period, she has become more and more adapted to the daycare center, and Lin Wanshu is increasingly reluctant to leave her. To the county town, Lin Wanshu sat on the back of the bicycle. One hand was in his own pocket, and the other hand was quietly in Qin Yan's pocket. Her head rested directly on his back, trying to avoid the cold wind. "Is it cold?" Being comforted by the woman, Qin Yan felt hot in his heart, and he only wished he could hold her in his pocket. Along the way, I was afraid that she would be cold. He held the bicycle handlebars with one hand and put the other hand into his pocket, holding Lin Wanshu's hand. Her hands have been cold since winter began. Lin Wanshu tried to take medicine to regulate her body, but there was not much improvement. On the contrary, Qin Yan, although only wearing a piece of clothing, felt as warm as a boiler. Lin Wanshu wasn't actually that cold that she couldn't stand it, but being pampered like this, she couldn't help but want to act coquettishly. It's so cold. Sure enough, Qin Yan felt distressed when he heard this. Put your other hand in your pocket and I'll warm it up for you. Lin Wanshu leaned against his back, a naughty smile on her lips, and she said softly, "It won't warm you up. You need a hug to get better." As soon as he finished speaking, the bicycle tilted, and Lin Wanshu almost lost her balance. Subconsciously put her arms around his waist and said in a daze, "What's wrong?" Qin Yan stopped the car and looked back at her innocent face, his expression full of helplessness. Why does she like to provoke me so much? But he had no power to resist her. Lin Wanshu blinked and was about to ask him why he stopped. The next second, the whole person was hugged into that hot embrace. Lin Wanshu. She was just talking. Although she knew that he had extraordinary hearing, Lin Wanshu still looked around guiltily. I was relieved to find that there was no one there. She was just startled, and she was so angry that she hit him. "You're frightening me to death." Qin Yan laughed softly. "Didn't you ask for a hug? Are you still cold now?" The deep voice came from the man's strong chest and penetrated into her ears like an electric current. Lin Wanshu felt like her whole body was about to burn. How could she still be cold? The two only met once a week, and each time they met they didn't have much time to spend together. Even if he didn't say it, Lin Wanshu could feel the strong emotion that seemed to be rubbed into her bones.